the sequel, entertainment's greatest tool. What do you do when something is popular? You churn out as many follow-ups as people will shove down their throats. Marvel Spider-Man is one of the best-selling games on the PS4, beating out both God of War and Horizon titles, Uncharted 4, and even The Last of Us Remastered and 2 combined. The game was a massive success, and understandably why. I've made a whole video on why that is, so if you want to go check it out, it's right there. People are clamoring for a sequel to it. Sure, the City That Never Sleeps DLC and Miles Morales did help with that craving, but people wanted a big follow-up that would blow the first game out of the water. Fans didn't have to wait long, however, because during a PlayStation showcase in September 2021, they revealed the first teaser for Marvel's Spider-Man 2, showcasing Peter and Miles fighting soldiers with some new suits and the first look at Insomniac's version of Venom. Fans ripped this trailer apart. Peter has new Iron Spider-like arms, Miles has yellow and blue Venom. Who is speaking throughout the trailer? All these, and the biggest question of all, who would be Venom? News was quiet about the game for a while, until about a year and a half later in May of 2023, where during another PlayStation showcase debuted some gameplay where we got the reveal of Queens would be a new location to explore on the map, new moves for both Peter and Miles, a new parry mechanic, first look at Kraven and the Lizard, new web wings allowing the Spider-Man to glide, and the biggest of all, the first look at Peter in the black suit, with some big changes like him using symbiote tendrils to attack. This was a massive showcase, giving people a ton of new information and issues, since I'm sure you remember when this came out and people are getting mad at Insomniac because the game didn't look like a massive improvement over the remastered version's graphics, or that there are reused animations in the swinging, which was pretty flawed logic considering the game wasn't finished and they still had 5 months until the game came out, so they were obviously still working on it. The video ended off with Miles noticing that Peter has changed, which got people excited at the fact that there might be a boss fight in the game between Peter and Miles. Fans luckily didn't have to wait as long for the next trailer because we got a story one released that June, which revealed even more information about the game, most notably new designs for Peter, MJ, and Miles, introducing Harry, Lee returning, more footage of Peter in the black suit, and even our first look at Venom. Furthering people's excitement and speculation of who Venom was gonna be. The most likely suspect was Harry, since both he and Venom shared the line of "heal the world," and the final shot of the trailer before Venom was shown did kind of look like him. However, I just had to be a special snowflake and a part of the fans that thought just maybe Peter actually had a good chance of becoming Venom this time around. I mean, it did seem Insomniac was pushing the limits of the symbiote storyline considering that they made Peter use his tendrils, so why not go the extra mile and make Peter Venom? Okay, it made sense at the time, okay? Marketing went into full effect for Spider-Man 2, with multiple trailers being released, and the expanded New York video, which showed off a bunch of info about the game, like the new expanded map, featuring Brooklyn and Queens, instantaneous switching between Peter and Miles, new activities like chasing down hunter drones, and even something seemingly to do with Mysterio. The hype for this game was through the roof. They even revealed a collector edition for the game, which had the standard pre-order bonuses, a steel bookcase, and even a statue of Miles and Peter fighting Venom. Finally, now I can have all 19 inches of Venom in my house. Everything led up to October 20th, 2023, where the game officially released to critical and financial success, scoring 8s and 9s everywhere and selling 11 million copies, making it easily the best-selling PlayStation 5 game ever, beating out stuff like Final Fantasy 16, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, and even Elden Ring, and is still to this day the only PlayStation 5 game to sell over 10 million copies. Marvel Spider-Man 2 was a massive success across all boards and even got 8 nominations during the 2023 Game Awards, tied with Alan Wake 2 for being the second most nominated game of the year. People loved Spider-Man 2 when it came out, but as time went on, slowly the reception soured more and more as we entered 2024. People started to see flaws all over the game, from the open world to the presentation to the story. Nowadays, it seems that despite people enjoying the game, it is seen as underwhelming and a forgettable sequel, similar to God of War Ragnarok or Tears of the Kingdom. Unlike those games, which I might get to at a later point, I still adore Marvel Spider-Man 2. Yes, the game does have its flaws, and I do have my many share of problems with it, but I can't help myself and love this game. Is it because I'm just a shill for any story involving the symbiote, or is it that Marvel Spider-Man 2 is secretly phenomenal with a fantastic story and unique gameplay? It's because I'm a shill. Welcome to the finale of my Marvel Spider-Man Retrospective series, where I will be going in depth on Spider-Man 2 and explain what it is that I love about it to this day. Before I start, and because I know some people are gonna get mad when they read the title, this is entirely my opinion. I understand that it's not the most popular take for this game. Yes, I am extremely biased towards Spider-Man 2, since it was probably the most excited I was for a game ever. So take this video with a grain of salt and don't get mad at me because we don't have the same opinion. I'm only saying all of this because I know how divisive this game can be with people and how the internet handles different opinions. I will be playing on the PS5 version and obviously be playing on ultimate difficulty for maximum challenge. Timestamps will be in the description and accessible in the bottom left of the screen, so you can jump around to a certain segment. And lastly, for simplicity's sake, whenever I say Spider-Men, I'll be referring to both Peter and Miles as a bunch, and when we're talking about one of them, I'll use their actual names. With that being said, let's begin with the box art. I'm sure you remember that I'm not a big fan of both Spider-Man and Miles Morales' box arts. I think they look lazy and unoriginal, but luckily here, Spider-Man 2 gives them a ton of new ideas to come up with one of the most creative and unique box arts of all time. I'm lying through my teeth, this looks like shit. While it is better than Miles Morales, and especially the first game's cover, it still looks basic and generic. I do like that the red background is much darker than the first game, which lets you actually see Peter, and they do try to add elements in like Miles' new Venom and the symbiote on Peter's arm. It still doesn't do enough to look really special or distinct, or even, you know, good for that matter. Opening up the box shows a better reversible cover for the game. This is probably my least favorite out of the three. With it being spread across the entire case, it causes each side to feel empty and missing parts, but it still looks pretty nice. However, just like the other games, you can find mock-ups done on fans that look way better than the official cover art. Launching the game, we get the title screen, which follows the same format as the other two, showcasing both Spider-Man looking out across the city, similar to Spider-Man 1. One nice change is that there are multiple different title screens that can appear. For example, they're leaning on the side of a building or sitting on a rooftop at night talking to each other. Just like both games beforehand, you have 6 different slots for saves and can also do New Game Plus saves as well. I'll go over all the changes about New Game Plus at the end of the video because unlike Miles Morales, this game's New Game Plus has a lot more to talk about regarding it. You can from there select the difficulty, change settings like subtitles, graphics, and camera controls, or watch the previously on cutscene. One small change Insomniac added is the apply pre-order bonuses toggle that gives you the option to have the bonuses unlocked at the very beginning or throughout the story. Of course, Spider-Man 2 also introduces some new options like being able to change your swinging and all that, which I'll talk about when they become relevant. Starting up a new save file, we open to a scene with Harry in front of a tube he's been in for the last 2 games. He asked Norman to promise that he'll pull him out if it doesn't work. After telling Harry that he'll never let him go, he transfers the symbiote to him and locks Harry in a tube. 2 years later, and we see Miles in his classroom, trying to write his college essay. Peter bursts through the door and begins teaching the class about physics, as Miles notices something brushing by the window of the room and asks to leave. He comes back in and calls on Peter to follow him up to the roof, where they see sand clouds covering the city. This jumps us right into the swinging tutorial of the game.
I'm so getting fired.
The same moves and controls carry over from the previous games. Holding down R2 allows you to swing from web to web, X is the web zip for a short boost of speed, and pressing X while holding down R2 causes Spider-Man to jump off of a web, generating a ton of speed. Once entering the massive sand cloud, debris will be thrown at you that you'll have to dodge with circle. Heading further in, revealing Sandman causing the havoc in New York, and begins the first boss fight of the game. In his first phase, Marco will use his arms to create massive swords and swipe across the screen to hit you. Once dodging his attacks, debris will appear that you can hurl at him by holding both L2 and R2. He will also throw trucks and pieces of rubble at you that you'll need to dodge as well. All of his attacks are obviously telegraphed and easy to dodge, so it isn't too much of a hassle to get through. After enough time, Peter will think of an idea and webs it directly to Marco's face, but get caught in the sand. Grabbing him and throwing Peter into a building, we get the parkour segment of the tutorial. Insomniac didn't really change anything about the parkour system for Spider-Man 2, so if you want a more detailed explanation on my problems with it, go watch watch my first Spider-Man video. But in short, there isn't anything really interesting about the parkour system, and they don't take good advantage of having Spider-Man to use it. After saving some citizens in peril and getting punched through a wall, smaller versions of Marco spawn and Spider-Man must fight them. Basic combat is still the same as the other games. You press square to do basic attacks, triangle to zip to enemies, circle to dodge incoming attack, and R1 to shoot webs to prevent them from attacking. Eventually, Peter will be overcome with the Sandmen and get dogpiled on. To break out, Peter activates his spider arms, and we get the introduction to each Spider-Man's exclusive combat moves. By pressing down L1 and one of the 4 face buttons, Spider-Man will perform one of their special moves. These are powerful attacks that deal big damage to enemies. However, they do have a cooldown timer, so you'll want to use them sparingly. The move wheel is located at the bottom of the screen and will display which moves you have access to and their cooldown timers. You will need to attack and dodge attacks for enemies to recharge the moves faster. One thing that I found is that webs are by far the best way to quickly recharge your abilities, since you have a lot of them to use and they recharge quickly. The first move unlocked here is Spider Barrage. By pressing down both L1 and square, Peter will use his arms to jump toward an enemy and unleash a flurry of attacks with them by knocking them backwards. Any enemy caught within the radius of the arms are also afflicted. A pretty useful attack that's good for dealing big damage to specific enemies. I'll go over each special move once they appear in the game. Some more fighting later, and Sandman will reach into the building and grab Peter. He tries reasoning with Marco, but doesn't listen, as he grabs onto a pipe on the ceiling and pulls it apart, pouring water onto Sandman and hurting him, as he slams Peter to the ground and buries him in sand. Grabbing him and dragging him out of the sand, we switch to Miles, as Sandman continues to attack. He'll combine both of his hands together and create a blade that he'll drag vertically down the screen, bringing up more debris than Miles can throw at him. After using his venom to blow a hole in Marco, he tries running away as you swing around him. Using his webs, Miles can zip to his face and use the debris as wrecking balls to attack Sandman. Peter will occasionally jump in and splash Marco with water, allowing Miles to zip toward him and deal a bunch of damage with his venom. Arriving back and dealing out more hits, Miles shoots through his head and deals a ton of damage to Marco, as Genki informs post-Spider-Man about a water tank at the Smithsonian building. Marco chases them up the side of the building until they reach the top, as Sandman slams Miles into the floor, and we begin his combat. Here, we get the reintroduction of Venom Punch, which works the same as Miles Morales. Venom also works really well as a pseudo finisher against sand enemies, since they instantly defeat them. Here is also where ranged enemies are introduced. They throw chunks of sand at you that you will need to dodge. While making your way through the building, you unlock the focus bar, which has some new tweaks accompanying it. Unlike both previous games, where you can heal at any point of focus, you can only heal in Spider-Man 2 once the bar is full. I really enjoy this change, since it forces you to actually get good at the game, and not just run away anytime you take damage. When it comes to finishers, they've since reverted back to how the first game did them, where you need to build a focus instead of hitting a number on your combo count. And I'm not the biggest fan of this change, since it prioritizes you to stay in fights, the count would reset instead of being able to flee. However, I do think that the change of how healing works to be similar to finishers does help balance it out, since you now have to consider if you want to hold on to your focus in case you take damage, or use it now to perform a finisher on an enemy. Once clearing through another series of sand enemies, they push over the water tank and douse Sandman in water. Unfortunately, a sand tornado appears and throws Peter into the air, and he has to break out the new web wings. Web wings are the biggest change to swinging, as they allow Spider-Man to glide through the air at high speeds. I, like many people, were skeptical about them when they were first revealed, but I think after actually playing with them, the web wings are a fantastic addition to the game. Being able to quickly jump in and out of them without slowing you down is really fun to perform while swinging around the city, and lead to some of the best moments I've had in a Spider-Man game. Easily the most fun thing to do in the game is weave in and out of buildings using them while keeping your speed up. The controls start out inverted, which can be a little annoying to get down, which is why you can change the controls around in the settings to your liking. Why anyone would play on any setting that inverts left and right is besides me, but let's not worry about that. While gliding, Sandman creates a massive sand tunnel with shipping containers and debris flying everywhere as lightning strikes. Marco will send massive sand tornadoes at Spider-Man, but are easily avoided. While trying to zip to Marco, Peter is struck by lightning and knocked to the ground, but is saved by Miles as they enter a final combat segment with the sand enemies. Once clearing them and swinging to Sandman, they both land on some debris, and Miles powers up Peter's arms and they shoot off a massive energy laser at Marco, defeating him. Before being flown to prison, Marco leaves the Spider-Man a disturbing message about people planning on coming for them. We cut to a forest 6 months ago as we get the introduction to Kraven the Hunter, searching for an equal. He discovers a new hunting ground in New York City with a ton of potential for a new hunt.
Light the fires. The great hunt begins.
Cutting back to New York, we see the entire city covered in sand as the Spider-Man try and help fix the calamity. The network that the app is connected to has shut down, and Genki tries solving it as Peter talks to the fire chief and clears some debris out of the way. This involves you holding both the control sticks in a certain direction to move the wreckage. This mechanic can be found all across the game and seemingly replaces button mashing since it has been majorly reduced for Spider-Man 2. Genki calls and tells Peter that they need to create their own network for the app to run. Arriving at the landmark and interacting with the drone launcher, Peter creates a focused relay neighborhood data spot, or friend for short, that allows requests to be posted to the app. Around this time is also where you unlock the skill tab in the menu. There are 3 different skill trees in the skills tab, one for each Spider-Man and a shared one between them. The first one you unlock being the share tree, which features prominent upgrades to swinging like the swing shot launch ability, which while holding L2 and X on the ground will charge a slingshot launch and propel Spider-Man into the air at great speed. Think of it as a much better charge jump, or the corner tether, which by holding circle while swinging close to a building will allow Spider-Man to sling around this corner without losing speed. Basically, a much better mid-air dodge. 2 improvements to combat, like upgrading yanking, so you can set enemies left or right to hit any other nearby, or so you can slam them onto the ground while in aerial combat and they bounce back up to you, to upgrading recharging on abilities for performing certain requirements. The character exclusive trees focus on abilities and upgrades like the Spider Whiplash for Peter, which by pressing L1 and X will lift any enemies caught in its radius into the air for easy takedowns, and the Venom Dash for Miles, which is performed by pressing L1 and triangle and works the same as it did in his own game. You purchase skills through skill points, which work the same as both previous games. Every time you level up, you'll be rewarded with a skill point. One thing is that the amount of points you have left over may be different from others. If you pre-ordered the game, you got an extra 3 skill points, and on top, if you purchase the digital deluxe edition with 10 extra suits, you got 2 more skill points to start with, meaning you'll be left with over 5 points remaining with nothing left to buy. I figured I should mention this because I remember seeing some people confused about the differing amount of skill points after purchasing everything. Once the app comes back online, a report goes through about a break-in happening nearby. Once arriving, we enter the aerial combat tutorial. Aerial combat is the same as both previous games. Holding down square while on the ground will launch enemies into the air, and continuing to press square will start the aerial combos. Holding square while in the air performs a swing kick, holding triangle will yank enemies to you for combat. It's all here. During the break-in is also the reintroduction to the basic thugs enemy type. The ones brought back are basic melee, pistol, assault rifles, crowbar, and brutes, all supporting new designs. Before more can arrive, Peter creates a new gadget type, that being the upshot gadget. Just like your special moves, the gadgets have been mapped to a new wheel at the bottom right of your screen. By pressing R1 and triangle, Peter shoots off an upshot which suspends multiple enemies into the air, making them prime for aerial combat. Around this time, you'll also be able to purchase the web grabber gadget. The web grabber is unlocked at level 2 and costs 115 tech parts and 3 city tokens, or is readily available to you for pre-order. By pressing R1 and square, the gadget will pull multiple enemies caught in its radius together, making them all easy targets for your abilities or other gadgets. These are by far my favorite gadget because they pair well with pretty much every move in the game, especially your abilities. Each gadget can be upgraded 5 times over the course of the game, increasing the amount you have to their range to their power. After clearing through another horde of thugs, Peter opens the app and switches to Miles. To swap between Spider-Man, all you have to do is open the app and hold down square. Upon reaching and activating another friend, another break-in is reported and he heads over. This crime focuses on web shooting and the perfect dodge. Once the indicator over your head turns red and you press circle, Spider-Man will dodge an incoming attack and you'll have invincibility frames off of it. More thugs arrive and we get the introduction to the new parry mechanic. Just like so many other games out there, Insomniac put in a new parry mechanic for Spider-Man 2, and it works just the same as all the rest. By pressing L1 right before an enemy attacks, you can parry their hit and counterattack for big damage against them. After stopping the crime, the app is officially working and requests come in from people trapped in a high-rise building. Once arriving and putting out the fires, Miles finds a glowing crystal and goes to investigate, but gets attacked by more sand enemies. MJ calls and tells Miles that Marco didn't escape again, but his mind has been broken up into crystallized pieces spread across the city, and the sand enemies are protecting the crystals. These are Marco's memories. There are a total of 14 spread across the map, 1 in Central Park, Greenwich, Little Odessa, and Williamsburg, 2 in Chinatown, Midtown, and the downtown Brooklyn, and 4 in the financial district. Clearing through the enemies and interacting with the crystal will complete a memory and reward you with a crystal fragment and a short audio recording from Marco about being hunted by Kraven. While fighting off the sand enemies, Miles unlocks his Venom Smash ability, performed by pressing L1 and circle. It works the same way as it did in Miles Morales, and is a great pairing with the Web Grabber gadget. After clearing the building, a final request gets sent in from a VIP stuck in a limo. Upon defeating all the thugs around the limo and pulling it out of the sand, Miles opens the doors and we see Jameson!
He's back!
He's back! 10 out of 10, greatest game of all time. Don't even argue with me. Jameson is back. My boy is right there. He's so beautiful.
Jonah, my sunshine!
I could finally rest easy, knowing my sweet Jonah has returned to us. Dropping him off at a hospital and receiving a phone call from the principal, Peter rushes over to the school and is promptly fired from teaching. While trying to cheer him up, Miles tells Peter about an open calling for photos by Robbie Robertson. Upon arriving at the landmark, Peter takes a photo showing off New York. These are photo ops. There are a total of 23 different photo ops spread across the city. One in Harlem, the Upper West and East Sides, Hell's Kitchen, the Financial District, Downtown Queens, and Williamsburg, 2 in Central Park, Midtown, Greenwich, Chinatown, and Astoria, and 3 in Little Odessa and downtown Brooklyn. Swiping up on the touchpad and taking a photo, you will be rewarded with 150 XP and 2 city tokens per photo, and a small blurb from Robbie about the city. Around this time is also where you'll notice the district progression at the top of the screen. This is used to track your progress in each district. The bar will rise more and more from stopping crimes and completing activities in respective areas. There are 3 main checkpoints across the bar. The first one awarding you with some tech cards, the second one unlocking fast travel in that district, and the final one netting you some hero tokens. This is a nice progression meter that gives you more incentive to complete objectives in the districts other than 100% completion. There is a small change here with the map that I'll go over briefly. In the first game, Insomniac made each district have a number of towers around the city that you can interact with that will unlock parts of that map. For Miles Morales, with it being a much smaller game, they changed it so that the entire map was unlocked at the beginning. With Spider-Man 2, they kind of reverted back to the first game. The map starts out dark and you slowly uncover it as you explore the district. This in turn is also able to discover each activity in districts. Instead of them all appearing when you unlock that part of the district, you have to go near them to discover. On one hand, I feel it's more incentive to see beacons like a mysterious light show or smoke off in the district to discover these landmarks as you move through the city. However, it's also annoying when you have the entire map uncovered and still can't find certain landmarks for activities. While swinging through the city, crimes will be reported. There are a total of 16 different crimes that can spawn around the map, these being break-in, high-speed chase, arms deal, armored truck, hunter cargo, hunter spying, hunter patrol, tanker strike, arson, branding, burning devils, monster hunt, abduction, bus assault, symbiote horde, and rescue shoppers. Crimes work the same as both previous games. You get a list of bonus objectives during them that you can complete for more rewards upon stopping the crime. When entering one, there is a potential for another character to jump in, like Miles or Wraith, to assist you in stopping them. I like a good amount of these crimes. Insomniac made some small changes to help improve upon them and make them more interesting. One detail I like is how some crimes have other enemy types entering them, or have infighting between the different classes. However, I do have to say that pretty much all symbiote crimes are just them attacking people, so they really aren't interesting to go through. While helping around the city, Peter decides to change into a different suit. This is where you unlock the suit's menu tab. The suit's page features 2 different tabs, one for Peter and one for Miles. Here, you can purchase suits and craft styles for them by holding down X. One thing that can get a little annoying is after you purchase the suit style, every time you want to use that suit, you have to go into the style menu for it. This can be a little tedious because when playing through the game, I decided to only use the base designs for suits, which got frustrating when a suit that I already selected had the styles that got unlocked for it. However, it isn't really going to happen that much depending on how you play the game. Just something I wanted to point out. After changing his suit, MJ calls Peter and heads back to his place. After some house simulator gameplay that gives my NyQuil a run for its money, Peter is reminded about a hole in his room and heads there to find it. He gets a flashback to a conversation he had with May about balance, and I'm sure you've all heard it before. And I'm just gonna say, how does May not see the spider mask on his desk? Like, he doesn't do that good of a job at hiding it. Also, how is it that the hole is still there after all these years? I'm not a construction worker, but wouldn't having a big hole in your wall not be the most ideal thing to keep? Heading back downstairs, MJ tells Peter about some raft inmates being moved tomorrow and goes to leave until...
MJ!
So Harry's back. To help catch up, Peter and him go on a bike ride together through the neighborhood. While this happens, I'm gonna take this time to talk about both the visuals and audio. With Spider-Man Remastered, Insomniac had the potential to fully upgrade the visuals so it would run on both PS5 and PC, and I believe they made it look really nice. Now with Spider-Man 2, and then getting a lot more comfortable with the system, they went all out with the look for the game, because Spider-Man 2 is one of the most visually pleasing games on the PS5. The game features stronger light sources and shades compared to the remastered version, making everything look much more realistic, most notably with sunsets. While remastered already looked really good during this time of day, Spider-Man 2 has more realistic reflections bouncing off of buildings and softer shadows, giving everything a more natural look to it. All the new environments and locations really help each part of New York feel distinct from each other. Manhattan feels like the busiest with all the traffic and high-rises, while Queens and Brooklyn feature lower buildings and neighborhood blocks with schools scattered everywhere, making landmarks and districts feel more unique. While I do really like the lighting system and environments, I feel like the character design has gone down a bit compared to the other two. Don't get me wrong, I love Insomniac's designs for the new villains introduced. I really like the bulkier, Shattered Dimensions-esque design of Mysterio with the shoulder pads and trench coat, and the smoky skull in his helmet is perfection. I really like how they just gave Cletus Cassidy a Hawaiian shirt and called it a day. It really does fit his character for some reason. Both Sandman and Scream stay accurate to the comics with some modern flair to them, and this is easily one of my favorite Lizard designs ever, with all the spikes on his back and just how massive he is compared to Spider-Man. While I still think Spectacular's Lizard design is my favorite, I think for what Insomniac was going for with this Lizard, it works. And of course, these are my favorite designs for both Kraven and Venom respectively. They both take what works in the comics and adds in new parts that I adore, like the dead animal bones all over Kraven that show off his experience, and the blood wings on Venom for just going so hard. My problem with the character designs all come down to the returning characters. I'll go in order from least to most offensive. I feel like it is pretty difficult to mess up Harry's design, but they still keep on doing it. Luckily, this game isn't the case. I don't really have much to say about him. I just think they did a good job with it. The biggest change with Miles are those new dreads in his hair. And I'm just gonna say, why is it that every video game character that's black also has dreads? Even the hunters have dreads. Peter has been on a downward spiral with his look in these games, and they keep on getting worse. Well, it doesn't look that bad in some shots, like when he's infiltrating Kraven's party or wearing the black clothes. It just doesn't really look like Peter Parker to me. I think it all falls into the fact that he looks weirdly bulky in regular clothes. Like, he just looks really wide compared to the other characters. I feel like they made up a new model for Peter, but kept the same one they used for Spider-Man from the previous games, and it just doesn't look right. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy the design that they gave his younger self and would love a game with that model, but I don't think this model of him looks like Peter. I'm just gonna say it, MJ looks absolutely terrible in Spider-Man 2. I really like the design for her in the first game. Insomniac struggled with the iteration. MJ here looks like she got plastic surgery done to her. Almost every aspect about her face was changed, and it just doesn't look right to me. It does look like an MJ design, but when you're following up that, and this is what you show me, it's not much of a competition.
I'll be crying if I look like that too, bro. That's fucked up what they be doing to y'all.
It also doesn't help that pretty much every shot she's in looks like a horror movie. Let me tell you a story. When one of the trailers dropped for Spider-Man 2, I watched a breakdown video for someone where they mentioned Yuri's new role as Wraith in the game, and not knowing who that was, I did some research and quickly fell in love with the design. I don't know why, but I love suits with flowing strands off of them. But when I sat down and played Spider-Man 2, I witnessed a complete butchering of a design. This looks awful. The mask is completely off. The suit looks like a shitty, over-designed MCU suit. I don't even want to mention the haircut. What is it with Insomniac and wanting suits to show off hair? Everything about this suit I despise. If Wraith appears in the next Spider-Man game, it better be with a more comic accurate design, or just don't even include her. Okay, maybe that's a little bit of a stretch, but at least fix the costume. On a more light-hearted note, let's talk about the audio. Once again, the music in this game is majestic. John Pisano, you can do no wrong. This soundtrack is a lot more dark and cinematic compared to his previous works, and even more orchestral pieces. The standouts to me are The Great Hunter, for its loud drum hits and feeling of dread being built up. And especially fighting back with the strong orchestral and desperate feel to it. And how could I not mention Swing? This is easily up there as one of Pisano's best scores ever made. It is beautiful to listen to, easily one of my favorite video game music artists of all time. That's not all though, because everyone in the cast pulled off all the stops for this game. Najee Jeter carries over the same energy as Miles with some new dynamics like with Martin Lee, who I don't think his arc in this game would have been as impactful if Stefan O. Young didn't play him. The new cast members here are also incredible. With so little, Leandro Cano brings so much to the role of Sandman and truly makes you empathize with him. Jim Peary brings a chilling and disturbing performance to Kraven, and somehow makes him even more threatening and terrifying with his voice alone. And Tony Todd will forever be Venom to me. His voice just fits the role so much. However, the standout here is obviously Jurgen Lowenthal as Peter Parker. This man is the definition of passion and talent. You can tell he's a massive Spider-Man fan and is honored to play the role. He brings so much to the table with his performance of Peter with the symbiote. Every single line he delivers fits so well, and I don't think anyone else could bring a better performance. The standout for me is the raw emotion that comes out during both the Peter and Venom boss fights. Every line coming out of his mouth is full of raw emotion. This game solidified Yuri as my favorite actor to ever touch the role of Peter Parker. Yes, I love Josh Keaton and Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, but Yuri Lowenthal is my definitive Peter Parker. Harry takes Peter to their old high school and they sneak in, as they remember back to a day they had to sneak in beforehand to retrieve a project. You flash back to when Peter and Harry were kids and get a short stealth segment where you maneuver around the school to retrieve the flash drive. I really like this section, as we get a small insight to Peter when he just started out as Spider-Man, with some moments like when you need to go into a side room to reload your web fluid. It ends off with Peter inside the gymnasium trying to retrieve the drive from the security guard without getting spotted. Once making it outside, Norman arrives on the field and tells Harry the news. This was the night his mother unfortunately died. We flash back to the present where Harry gives Peter a badge for a new startup he's working on, telling him that they're going to heal the world. The next day, we see Miles struggling to write his essay as Peter calls and asks him to join in watching over the raft transfer. During the swingover, we get the tutorial to wind turbines. They can be found all across the map and gives you a big burst of speed along with updrafts, which rapidly propels you into the air. These are all meant for showcasing the big change to swinging, that being the emphasis on speed. Upon arriving, we see Scorpion being transferred out. A guard mentions another transfer, unbeknownst to both Spider-Men, that being Martin Lee. This strikes a chord in Miles that Peter helps calm down. Before anything else could happen though, hunters start attacking the transfer boat and both Spider-Men jump in to stop them. There are multiple different classes of hunters introduced in the game, easily the largest enemy type variety in the series. This mission introduces hand-to-hand, swordsman, and assault rifle hunter versions, and some new ones. The first one introduced are hunter drones. They fly around the arena and will dive at you for an attack. The other prominent type are hunter snipers. They poach on top of beams and will shoot off arrows at you that will stick to the ground and explode. They can also maneuver around the arena and can even break out of your combos, making them a lot more engaging to fight. Enemies have a chance to perform a heavy attack that cannot be dodged, as doing so will result in you taking damage. For those a little too trigger happy with the circle button, these attacks are indicated with 2 yellow circles appearing around the enemy that change to red right before the impact. By pressing L1 during the red warning will cause Spider-Man to parry the attack, giving you an open to counter them. During the attack on the transfer boat, hunters on the dock nearby shoot large harpoons and start dragging the boat into the water. Peter tries to pull them out as Miles heads into the boat to save the guards. Making his way through it, he stumbles across a guard, Scorpion locked in a cell, and as he goes through the electrical access tunnel to repower the backup generator, arriving back at the cell, Miles was tricked by Scorpion, who poisons him and gets thrown into the water from hunters. While in the water, Miles goes on his own drug trip where he sees his mom and Genki. Once making his way out of the water, he stumbles across Lee, stuck in a cell as water starts flooding the room. Miles stares at Martin as he goes under, but decides to save him as his venom power starts going haywire. Hunters blast open the roof and drag Martin away as Miles gets up and activates a new ability, that being Chain Lightning. This replaces his venom punch. By pressing L1 and square, Miles shoots off blue electricity towards his target and can travel to any enemy caught in his range. This is a pretty useful ability that pairs nicely with the Web Grabber ability. After defeating all the hunters both inside and on the outside of the boat, Kraven arrives in a hunter aircraft and explodes the tankers on the boat, causing the water to ignite and the boat to crash into a nearby pier. Webbing up the propellers and defeating some more hunters, Lee manages to break out of his cell and faces Miles. Kraven comes on by and ropes up Lee, tries to break him away as Miles webs him up. He tries hanging on but realizes the other citizens left are endangered and lets go of the stop the blades, destroying the rest of the dock. First responders arrive and Miles talks to Peter about Lee. After the mission, you unlock your abilities menu tab. This shows all the abilities you have unlocked so far and lets you swap them. While swinging around the city, Aaron Davis calls Miles and gives him an address to meet at. Arriving there, Miles tells Aaron about Lee escaping. To help get his mind off of this, Davis asks him to go get some old tech he left behind off the streets near an old Roxxon lab. Once arriving, Aaron informs him that the tech he only reveals itself when it detects the code in his suit. By holding down L2, you can scan around the environment for the stashed tech. Indicators will appear on either side of the screen and get closer to the middle as you look at the tech along with your controller vibrating. After scanning the code, you'll have to decrypt the key. This is done by holding down both the L2 and R2 triggers until the indicator are in the sensor area. This can be a little annoying to perform since the indicators jitter rapidly and you can't easily tell if you're over the center until you stabilize it. However, this isn't that big of an issue and not the most difficult thing to complete. Once stabilizing, a revealed location appears and you'll have to move the gate to a new location. After all that, you gain access to the base and obtain the tech. This is referred to as Prowler stashes. There are a total of 10 stashes around the city, located in Harlem, the Upper West Side, Hell's Kitchen, Midtown, Greenwich, Astoria, downtown Queens, Little Odessa, Williamsburg, and downtown Brooklyn. However, you must complete all other stashes before unlocking the one in Harlem. These aren't the most interesting puzzles in the game, but can still test you with where you need to be positioned in order to move the gate. Completing a stash rewards you with 300 XP and 3 rare tech parts. Similar to regular tech parts, rare tech parts can be used to unlock or upgrade new suits, gadgets, or newly introduced suit tech. Suit tech can be divided up into 4 different columns: health, damage, focus, and traversal. All upgrades here boost an attribute in each line, like increasing maximum damage or health, etc. Some levels on the upgrades give you 2 different upgrades, however, you can only have one activated at a time. These are just here to boost your stats, not much else. Before I go any further, I'm just letting you know that the next few missions had to be re-recorded since my original footage got corrupted. So if you see me using abilities you don't unlock until later in the story, that's why. Harry calls up Peter and asks him if he wants to do a tour of the new Emily May Foundation he started. Exploring the foundation, we see a ton of new projects all geared towards healing the world. For example, drones designed to attack bee wolves to help out the decreasing bee population, and battery charged by bicycles. During the tour, Dr. Connor stops Harry for a checkup and asks him about any symptoms occurring. You also get the tutorial for a new puzzle in the game, those being hybrid calibrations. They appear all across the game. During them, you have a series of attributes at the bottom of the screen that you must fit into the layout in the middle while making sure all the lines connect. I quite enjoy these puzzles as they're simple yet can still rack your brain, especially the last one. Ending the tour in the office, Peter decides to officially join the Emily May Foundation. After the mission, you unlock EMF experiments all across the city. There are a total of 9 experiments you can find: one in Harlem, the Upper West Side, Chinatown, the Financial District, Astoria, Little Odessa, Williamsburg, and 2 in downtown Brooklyn. EMF experiments can be one of 3 different types, focusing on energy, plant science, and bee drones. Completing an experiment will award you with 700 XP, 3 rare tech parts, and 140 tech parts. They're very similar to research stations in the first game. However, with the small amount and only 3 unique types an experiment can be, I find myself personally enjoying the stations in the first game more than the experiments here. It's not as interesting gameplay or mechanics as with the research stations, and they stay for much longer. During celebration, Miles calls and informs Peter about hunters spotted near Williamsburg Bridge and arrives to no sign of anything. Before leaving though, he notices someone throwing a cup and suddenly disappears and investigates, revealing cloaking technology that he jumps through to encounter hunters hiding in. Here, we get the introduction to shielded hunters. They act the same as other shield classes in the series. They block all regular attacks in front of them, and you'll have to dodge underneath to launch them into the air or use a special ability. Crossbow hunters also got an upgrade, shooting off a net that restrains Spider-Man that you'll have to mash out of. After defeating the hunters and following a drone to another location, Peter hacks into a drone and discovers a base in its database before it drags him up high into the air. Gliding across New York and arriving at the base, MJ tells Peter that a shell company has been buying property similar to the location he's at all over the city. These are hunter blinds and bases. There are a total of 11 blinds across the city, 2 in downtown Brooklyn and 3 in Harlem, the Upper West Side, and the Financial District. Upon completing all blinds in said district, do you unlock the base. Hunter bases are complex, multi-level buildings where you need to take out all the hunters while completing bonus objectives like shutting down all their comms. Completing a blind will reward you with 1000 XP, 5 rare tech parts, and 150 tech parts, and completing a hunter base will reward you with 1500 XP, 5 hero tokens, tokens and 350 tech parts. While the blinds aren't the most interesting thing to complete, I really enjoy the bases for their complexity and options for multiple approaches to completing them. The first bait you complete acts as a tutorial for stealth combat, which is the same as the first two games. You can perform multiple different types of takedowns on enemies, the most common one being perch takedowns and strike takedowns. However, you can also take out enemies from the ceilings, walls, vents, and from behind them. The big change to stealth is the web line introduced here. While holding L2 and pressing triangle, Spider-Man will shoot out a web at a wall and string together a line he can walk on, allowing you to walk along and even perform takedowns on it. This is a really nice addition to stealth, as it gives you a lot more room to breathe during the segments. While making his way through the base, Peter overhears hunters talking about their boss and finds out his name is Kraven. Continuing further into the base, Peter stumbles into a research lab about Scorpion and Lee. Moving past it and clearing out another room for hunters, he finds Kraven was tracking Black Cat to get a special video just for him on her OnlyFans.
Hey, where'd you get that? You get that plant fruit?
As he continues looking, Peter gets surprise attacked by what I'm calling hunter dogs. Hunter dogs are pretty bulky and have various means of attacking you, from lunging to disabling your abilities with EMPs and even exploding, so you'll want to be careful when dealing with them. Clearing out another group of hunters, Peter stumbles across a video recording left behind on their systems.
Have a nice trip.
Is this the best you can do? They said you were a killer. Imagine my disappointment.
Kraven isn't trying to recruit villains for his hunt, he's hunting them. And this also means I can finally talk about it. Can I just say how much I really don't like the intro we get to Kraven in the beginning of the game? Like, yeah, it's a cool reveal to Kraven and establishes him as a villain, but I feel like it would have been much cooler for us to have the first time we see him be during the transfer boat hijacking and be with both Spider-Man figuring out what Kraven's doing with the villains. And I do believe this could have been a good twist. For the longest time in Spider-Man media, Kraven has always been fine with working with other villains to kill Spider-Man. Hell, he's one of the original founding members of the Sinister Six. Just imagine with me, you go through the opening of the game as normal. We get the simple Spider-Man adventure with cleaning up the city and going about personal lives. We follow along with Peters and Miles until the transfer boat is hijacked. We don't know who's attacking the ship until Kraven appears with his sniper and takes out both Scorpion and Lee. The player, thinking along with Spider-Man, goes through this part of the game trying to figure out what Kraven is doing with the villains until we get this scene, revealing that Kraven is actually hunting the villains. I strongly believe this would have been a way more impactful to the audience instead of revealing Kraven's plan at the beginning of the game. I just feel that slow dripping us this information until we see how powerful Kraven is by killing off one of the villains from the last game and realizing what his intentions are way more interesting than having it explained to us in the beginning what his goal is. Peter calls Miles to go check up on Black Cat. Arriving at her safe house and finding it trashed, an explosion goes off in the distance demons, and Miles rushes over and finds electrical nodes all across the rooftop. Once powering them on and opening a locked box, he finds a book for instructions for a Wand of Watum. Hunters fly overhead, and Miles follows to the Sanctum Sanctorum. After taking them all out, we see...
Oh, that's a first.
Little spider wants to play, huh?
Just stay focused. Miles gives chase as Felicia teleports around the city and even to a glacier, eventually ending up in Central Park. He tries to convince her to help stop Kraven.
Look, kid. Not that it's your business. My girlfriend's in Paris.
What? Deciding to help out and teaming up with her, Miles fights off against an onslaught of hunters. Taking them all out, they both manage to control the wand and open up a portal to Paris. Miles, now on his own, tries to open up a portal to leave, but the wand disappears. Genki calls and lets him know about a new attraction at Coney Island, built by Quentin Beck, formerly known as Mysterio. Giving it a shot, Miles heads into the attraction and comes across a kiosk that transforms into a DJ table and gives him a new suit. This begins a fun mini game where you need to move the sticks or press the corresponding button to match with the music. It's pretty fun to do, but I wish it had more to it instead of just pressing L1, R1 and moving both the sticks. During the ball drop, the machine breaks and Miles comes face to face with Martin Lee. Preparing to attack, he activates a new move, the Thunderburst, which replaces your Venom dash. By pressing L1 and triangle, Miles will leap into the air and crash down into the target, effectively teleporting. This is a really useful ability to have, as it allows you to travel long distances across the arena faster than anything else in the game, and packs a pretty sizable hitbox to damage any surrounding enemies. That can be heard trying to get Miles out of the illusion as you fight off against the demons. After some time, an exit will appear and Miles is hurled out of the attraction, freeing him, and Beck shuts down for maintenance. Peter calls out and meets up with Miles and Genki and introduces them to Harry. They decide to leave as we go around the carnival, playing through all the games you can find. While having fun, Peter and MJ share a heart-to-heart about second chances and MJ's job as fireworks goes off. Peter looks down and sees hunters surrounding Tombstone. Jumping in and fighting off against waves of hunters, Tombstone is captured as hunters drive into the Ferris wheel and cause it to crash onto the roller coaster. Pete quickly swings onto and tries to save everyone and fights off hunters until...
Sorry! Harry? Pete? Go! Hang on!
Promptly swinging away, Harry and Peter quickly talk about the treatment inside of him and agree to run some tests. Arriving at the Foundation,
Hey! Hey, Pete! Watch this!
they run their tests until the next morning when Norman wakes them both up and talks to Harry about Dr. Connors, as Peter leaves and notices a strange signal outside the Foundation. Telling Genki, he informs both Spider-Men a lot of Spider-Bots seemingly ping the network all at once. Arriving and investigating, Peter uploads the information to the server and tells Miles to keep an eye out for more. Those are Spider-Bots. There are a total of 43 Spider-Bots across the map, 2 in Central Park, the Financial District, and Williamsburg, 3 in Harlem, the Upper West and East Side, Midtown, Greenwich, Chinatown, Downtown Queens, and Little Astoria, and 4 in Hell's Kitchen, Astoria, and downtown Brooklyn. Upon finding one, you are rewarded with 150 XP and 100 tech parts. They are the only collectibles that don't appear on your map. Instead, you will have to swing around until you feel their pulses, or use the all-seeing suit tech upgrade, which reveals Spider-Bots on your minimap, similar to the secret photo ops in the first game. Spider-Bots are very similar to Backpack. Once collected, they appear in your collections menu tab, and you can see all the Spider-Man references on them. I like these because they give some more representation to the lesser known Spider-Man characters that don't have suits in the game. MJ calls to check up on Peter and lets him know that she'll call him back whenever she finds out where the hunters took Tombstone as you explore the city. Around this time is when you'll unlock the first Flame mission, which I'll go over all of them near the end of the video, so stay tuned. In the meantime, Felicia calls both Spider-Man and lets them know the hunters are keeping Tombstone locked up in the abandoned steel foundry in Williamsburg as compensation for owing Miles. Peter, deciding to take charge, arrives and takes out all the guards as Harry calls Peter about Dr. Connors not being heard of. Sneaking through the steel foundry with absolutely no problems, Harry crashes through the ceiling wearing the Agent Venom suit? Huh. That wasn't on my bingo card. I mean, I guess this is the closest we're probably getting to seeing Agent Venom in any Spider-Man story outside the comics. After clearing through some more hunters and almost dying in the process, they burst into the holding room and Harry tries to break Tombstone out, but unintentionally causes the building to start to erupt. Fighting off more hunters and ripping the supports to the furnace out, the foundry collapses as they rush out just in the nick of time. I really like the short conversation between Spider-Man and Tombstone have between them. It's always fun to see how reformed villains interact with the hero. Switching over to Miles, Rio asks if he could meet her at her office to check up with him about everything going on. Consulting him, she asks if he could go help out at the nearby museum. Arriving, Miles finds that Angela, the one running the exhibit, has been locked out of the security system and sends in a spider drone to look around and see a bunch of thugs trying to steal all the instruments. Here, we get some drone gameplay. It's very similar to the first game with some new additions, the biggest one being flying with your jet boosters. By holding R2, the drone will begin to fly, allowing you to maneuver around locations easier. However, there is a limit on both the max height and boost of the rockets. Sneaking through the museum and past all the thieves inside, she shuts down the security system and fights off against the thieves in the shipping dock. This is where you unlock the Mega Venom Blast. It works the exact same as in Miles Morales. However, the charge for it has been separated from the focus bar and has its own charge up. Some thieves manage to escape and Miles gives chase. Having to pick one and stopping it, he returns the stolen items to the museum but is unable to convince the donor to fund the exhibit. He promises to find all the stolen items and you gain access to cultural museum missions, which I'll go over at the end of the video. For now, and switching back to Peter, Harry calls and informs him that he can't find Connors at the EMF. MJ tells Peter that hunters have infiltrated his home and is being held somewhere across the river as she stowaways in their van and is taken to the abandoned zoo on the outskirts of the city. Here, we get the first MJ mission. Now, in my Spider-Man 1 video, I talked about why MJ missions were one of the worst aspects of the first game. They grinded the game to a halt, the AI was easy to exploit, there were a ton of reasons. So, with the release of Spider-Man 2 and hearing the criticisms of these missions, did Insomniacs fix MJ missions? Yes, absolutely 100% fix them, but they still aren't perfect. Don't get me wrong, the AI is still bad here. Hell, you could argue that the AI has gotten worse since the first game, with the change of not immediately failing the mission when getting caught. It's not that difficult to exploit the AI, or even just run right in front of them and they still won't kill you. However, they did fix the issue of them grinding the game to a halt, because these missions all focus on one thing that I loved about the Miles Rhino stealth mission in the first game. They all do a great job at making you feel the genuine fear and stress the character is feeling in that mission, primarily with the mission where you have to move around your neighborhood and the final MJ mission. These sections would be terrifying to go through in real life, and I'm glad Insomniac put that horror emphasis into these missions. Also, how could I just not mention the gun? I talked about how the stun gun MJ got in the Penthouse mission had so much potential, and they ran with it here since it's in every single one of her missions. This keeps the pace going, and it's actually fun to take out the enemies this time. While moving through the zoo, MJ discovers the hunters are trying to remake the lizard formula, and audio recordings left behind him from Craven about Spider-Man villains like Vulture and Rhino, confirming he killed them.
Another night tainted by the silence of death. I wasn't sure I could clip his wings. Perhaps that would be my weakness, but no. Not even that could save him.
I'm kind of split on this. On one hand, this does an incredible job at establishing Kraven as a force to be reckoned with. Peter struggled to fight these villains in the first game, yet Kraven was able to take them out without much challenge. This does wonders at showing how dangerous and threatening he is. On the other hand though, this is completely optional content. Yes, that's right ladies and gentlemen, a bunch of classic Spider-Man villains that we've all gotten to see how they interact with Peter and have a lot of potential for interesting stories and bosses fights later on, all killed off screen. The reason why the Scorpion death was so impactful was because we got to see how Kraven killed him. For everyone else, just skippable audio recordings. Hell, on my first playthrough, I didn't even know they died. I found through a TikTok. They should have made it a more accessible location, like in one of the hallways of the zoos before the big open courtyard, so you're less likely to miss them. It just doesn't come across as impactful through skippable audio recordings instead of watching Kraven actually kill off one of the previous villains. Once locating Connors, MJ tries to free him, but Kraven enters the cage and injects him with the lizard formula right as Peter and Harry arrive on scene. Hunters ignite the courtyard as MJ carries him to the lab and both Spider-Man clear a path. Before being able to make an antidote, Kraven grabs the formula and Connors transforms into the lizard and Peter tries to help MJ.
No!
Not as venomous as they say.
Here we get a truly heartbreaking scene as MJ carries Peter and he slowly realizes he's dying. Bringing him into the zoo hall, MJ screams for Harry, who tries to help Pete.
No. You gotta stay awake, buddy. No!
Peter is given the symbiote and now has the black suit. Here we go. While I tried to be objective with Spider-Man 2 and definitely has its flaws, I'm too biased. This is my favorite portrayal of Peter with the black suit. While other mediums have better overall Venom stories, Marvel Spider-Man 2 has my favorite symbiote Peter. Bully Lowenthal for life. This is also my favorite part of the game, if you couldn't tell. So I'm going to be completely biased during this act, so just keep that in mind for now. Along with the black suit, Peter also unlocks Symbiote Surge, his special game mechanic, just like how Mega Venom Blast is for Miles. Just like almost every game release as of late with the parry mechanic, Spider-Man 2 also has a rage mechanic. The more attacks you deal out, the more your surge meter increases until you're able to activate Symbiote Surge by pressing both L3 and R3, making Peter take no damage, charging all of his special moves faster, and making his base attacks even stronger. This is extremely overpowered compared to Mega Venom Blast. It pretty much clears out any enemy encounter you'll come across in the game. Alongside that as well is the Symbiote Punch, which replaces Spider Barrage. By pressing both L1 and square, Peter will send out a punch at any target in front of him, dealing a lot of damage. While this attack isn't the best for dealing with groups, it is extremely strong against one enemy, usually being able to take them out in one hit. Heading back to the Foundation, Peter tries to give Harry the suit, but to no avail, as he heads out into the city to track down Kraven. After getting the black suit, you also unlock Peter's other line on his skill tree, all dedicated to the symbiote, most importantly containing the Symbiote Strike and Symbiote Yank. By pressing both L1 and triangle, Peter will perform Symbiote Strike and dash towards the enemies in a ball of tendrils, gathering them up and launching them into the air for aerial combat. By pressing L1 and X, he will perform Symbiote Yank and grab a maximum of 4 enemies in front of him, letting them into the air and smashing them onto the ground for strong damage. These are pretty reliable and strong moves during enemy encounters. Reaching a nearby pawn shop, Peter tries asking the store owner about the knife. He quickly leaves, only leaving behind a message: the fires have been lit. Heading onto the roof, Peter notices a bunch of fires have all been lit around Little Odessa that you must put out while fighting off against the hunters. Once putting them all out, Peter discovers shipments for an event going on somewhere in New York. Once reaching the docks and clearing out the hunters, the worker lets him know that the party is taking place. Arriving and changing into a more classy look, Peter infiltrates the party to look for Craven. Wandering around and getting harassed by hunters, he overhears that Craven won't be attending, but something about a shield bearer. Investigating further brings him into the hall and delivers the food to the bearer, who points him to a room on the second floor. Reaching it with no problems at all, Peter heads into the room and meets Dima. Sneaking around the building, retrieving both raw meat and a poisoned dart, he heads back into the room and gives Dima the meat, knocking her out. Exploring Craven's lounge, he finds strength enhancing potions, a philosophy book, medication for late-stage chemotherapy, and a letter talking about a chapel prepared. Peter hurries out of the lounge as the shield bearer spots him, ordering the hunters to keep him alive. Clearing through them all and swinging over to the chapel, he gets surprise attacked by the shield bearer, starting the first mini-boss of the game. These are like regular enemies found across the game, but with more help. This also is meant to be the first big test for your parry timing, considering he primarily performs parry attacks. After clearing the guards outside, Peter heads into the chapel to confront Craven. He retrieves the serum, but not before Craven discovers the symbiote's weakness to sound, promising they'll finish it later. He heads back to the Foundation and creates an antidote for Connors. They fire up the particle accelerator and starts curing the serum. However, the pressure change pops an intersection out of alignment and Peter heads in to fix it.
I don't know about this.
Relax and be a good proton.
Huh?
Stay positive.
Repairing the accelerator, fires start spreading around the Foundation that Harry and Peter rush to put out. The antidote is complete, but there's 67 shutdown steps to complete before they can grab it, as hunters break in to capture Spider-Man. They knock Peter down and the alarm system goes off, causing the suit to freak out. Harry quickly shuts the alarm down as Peter uses Symbiote Blast. By pressing both L1 and Circle, Peter will send out a massive blast of tendrils around him, dealing big damage to any enemy caught in its range. Taking on all the hunters, a new brute type comes in. This one wielding an axe.
Okay, before we get down to business, there's something I have to tell you. I'm fresh out of honey.
Similar to the last mini-boss, this one also tests your parry ability. Hunters continue to destroy the EMF as Harry luckily finishes the shutdown sequence and gets the antidote and they hurry to safety. Norman arrives to assess the destruction as Peter promises Harry he'll find Connors. Genki calls Miles and lets him know about a hunter drone caught by one of the friends. Arriving at the signal's destination, a recording from Craven is played about the hunt and the drone flies back to track his targets. This is an unidentified target. There are a total of 8 drones around the city, each in Harlem, the Upper East and West Side, Midtown, Chinatown, the Financial District, Downtown Queens, and Williamsburg. A drone will begin to fly away, and you'll need to stay in the slipstream tailing it to collect the data and find who the target was. The drone will sporadically weave in between buildings, aim and shoot at you, or leave behind bombs that you'll have to dodge. Uploading the data to the server and talking to Harry, Miles heads over to his father's grave for some advice. Switching back over to Peter, he arrives at Connor's house to find it trashed. Solving a quick puzzle and heading down into a secret lab, he sees his mutation rapidly changing and him growling. He takes a sample of lizard blood and bursts through the cellar door and fights off against some hunters. Listening to their comms, Peter hears that the lizard is already across the river and phones Miles to help him. Arriving and taking out more hunters, Miles investigates with Genki using a hacked drone to come across lizard skin. Peter breaks into the market and hands over the blood to locate Connors. Lizard breaks out of the market and heads into the river as hunters and both Spider-Men follow. Here we get a thrilling and exciting mission where you jump from jet ski and aircraft, dodging debris and shots until Miles falls into the water and you must dodge Lizard's incoming attacks. The chase leads to a nearby dock as they hurl the drone at the gunship, taking it down. Unfortunately, Lizard manages to get away as Peter goes looking on his own. Tracking the Lizard to the sewers in the Upper West Side, Peter discovers a hidden Oscorp lab deep underground containing old antidotes, lizard samples, celestial coordinates, a mysterious canister, and a small particle accelerator Connors was using attempting to break down some kind of mineral that the suit seems to be interested in. Repairing the power, Peter gets jumped by the lizard, starting the boss fight. In his first phase, lizard will have a new type of attack, crush attacks. These have a blue warning indicator on them and cannot be blocked or parried, forcing you to dodge them. This can be very difficult to get down, since the only way you can tell each move apart is by the indicator, causing a lot of people to mess up the input and take a lot of damage. Lizard will use his claws, teeth, and tail to swipe at Spider-Man, primarily the crush attack. There are Blastoids scattered around the arena that, by pulling them when Lizard is standing over them, will stun him and give you an opportunity to get some damage in. In the second phase, Connors will leap onto the wall of the arena and throw pieces of concrete or dash towards you at high speed, which can be pretty difficult to dodge, although it's more the same as the first phase. After enough hits, Peter will pin Lizard down and try to give him the antidote. Screeching to break away from him and heading above ground, the Lizard runs rampant through the city and Spider-Man gives chase. This begins a fantastic chase scene. If you've seen my other Spider-Man videos, which if you haven't, what are you doing here? You will know how much I love the chase missions in these games, and this is easily one of my favorites. Lizard constantly jumps from building to building as police helicopters follow, and we even get some interesting landmarks like over the train track. Hunters will also begin to chase Connors, and you'll have to dodge their destroyed aircraft. All of this leads up to the chase up the side of the building, where Lizard uses a hunter truck as a wrecking ball you will have to avoid. Kraven flies by and shoots explosive arrows at both of them as they crash through the ground and end up in the sewers again for the final phase of the fight. In here, Lizard's attacks are faster and he incorporates his screech into his crush attack, but I'm sure Peter has some fun clips he's delivering to lighten the mood.
No wonder your family left you! You're not strong enough!
God damn, Peter. He knocks him down and delivers the antidote to Connor, curing him of the lizard. When he awakens, Connor shows Peter the mineral again and the suit tries to grab at it, showing him a flashback to Connor's interacting with the symbiote for the first time and how he lost his arm.
Fascinating.
Shoot it off! Do it!
He reveals the suit is a symbiote and that it chose Peter as its host.
Which means it's more dangerous than I could have imagined. We need to call Oscorp. We need to destroy it.
Destroy us? You said it chose me, Doc. It makes me a better Spider-Man.
Leaving the sewers, Peter heads back home to get some rest as MJ tries to show him what she wrote. Hunters soon surround the building as Peter leaves. Here we get another really good MJ mission, might even be my favorite in the game, where you need to sneak around the neighborhood and even a construction yard taking out hunters. It does a really good job at editing the genuine horror these situations would bring to a regular person if this was real. Down in the basement of May's house, MJ upgrades her stun gun with some web shooters, allowing her to take out hunters further away. Another thing I love about this mission is how they show the symbiote has taken over Peter with the tendrils being a lot more sporadic and him being a lot more violent to enemies. Reaching Peter, MJ sees him dragging a hunter as Miles arrives to give chase. Heading into a nearby tunnel under construction and taking out the hunters, Miles seals Peter and MJ under the tunnel and stands guard outside. She makes her way further into the tunnel until coming across Peter lying on the ground. Miles continues to fight off hunters as a crane nearby collapses and he saves a worker on it, who drugs Miles as Kraven arrives and orders his men to enter the tunnel. MJ uses her stun gun on Peter to try and wake him up as we get the best MJ moment in the entire series as you run away from Peter in the tunnel. This is some genuine horror scenery and you get the sense of dread and terror from MJ. Kraven kidnaps Miles and Peter wakes up on a city bench with no recollection of what happened. He gets a notification from the Bugle about MJ's new story on Spider-Man. Arriving at Harry's, Peter is confronted by both Harry and MJ. Storming out, he overhears Norman yelling building and checks up on him, who finds comfort in Pete. Harry witnessing this and gets mad, breaking the window glass. Rio calls and tells Peter to go to her office. She demands that he helps Miles as we cut to him locked in a cage. Breaking out, he makes his way through a labyrinth of traps and a gauntlet of hunter enemies until he finds himself in a hall composed of hunters chanting, leading him into a battle arena. Kraven has created a Colosseum-like battleground for his targets to duke out in a chance for them to fight him. Miles finds himself battling against Lee and begins his boss fight. In the first phase, he uses the same vertical and horizontal slashes from the first game, shoots off projectiles of negative energy at you, and a new attack which sees him dashing around the arena twice, which you cannot parry. After enough hits, Lee will enter his second phase, where he conjures up a massive demon projectile covered in chains that generates a portal around him in which prevents you from attacking and disrupts Miles' venom. He sends out a series of tornadoes that you will have to dodge until your venom comes back online and can break the barrier. Alongside that, his new attacks are faster, and he now dashes 3 times towards you and has a new parryable attack where he leaps into the air and slams his sword onto the ground. After summoning the portal again and breaking it with venom, will start the final phase, in which it's more of the first one with his attacks being faster and he's more likely to break out of your combo. Knocking him onto the ground, Lee charges up a powerful blast that shatters the glass above and transports Miles into his mind. Following the demon, Lee summons demon shadows and fights off Miles as you hear Martin taunting him with the voices of Peter, Genki, his mom, and finally Jeff. Confronting his inner demons, shadows surround Miles as he uses a new move, Reverse Flux. By pressing L1 in circle, Miles pulls in enemies caught within his range and blasts them away with his venom, dealing a lot of damage. He confronts Lee about who he is and his dad dying by his hands, freeing himself from Lee's grasp and frees him to go find Peter. Genki calls Peter and informs him about Lee being spotted at Feast. Arriving, Martin tells Peter that Kraven has locked up Miles in an old mansion east of the city, and that he reminds him of Peter. While swinging over, we get to hear just how much the symbiote has actually affected Peter.
Not now, MJ. Is Spider-Man doing more harm than good? How about now? Now who needs the old Spider-Man? What's so great about the new Spider-Man anyway? He can't even stop some hunters. They destroyed the EMF. Destroyed my life. I'm going to lose May's house because of them and... Kraven.
Upon arriving at the museum and beating on all the hunters outside, he heads into the building and gets locked in an unbreakable cage. Kraven teases Peter with Miles, bruised and unconscious. Managing to break open the cage starts the Kraven boss fight. In his first phase, he will jump around the arena's multiple floors, attacking with various weapons like an axe or spear, his own heavy and crush attacks, and gadgets like remote explosives. He can be quite difficult to keep an eye on with how frequent he moves around and his fast attacks, so you want to be careful. One thing I haven't really gone over is the dialogue during boss fights. Peter and Kraven share a back and forth about his sickness and inevitable death. Shout out to Peter with his sickly, tantalizing performance, and Lowenthal for showing just how much the symbiote has taken Peter over.
Your followers treat you like some kind of god! But you're just a dying old man, looking for a way out! So you know then? Then you know I will not die in a sick bed! Only an equal may taste my life! Rip me apart and parade your achievement through the streets!
Kraven signals to his men and a bell starts ringing. Peter freaks out and crashes through a wall into the courtyard where Kraven has a massive bell positioned for him. Throughout his second phase, he will throw spears at the bell, causing the symbiote to freak out and prevent Spider-Man from moving. To stop this, you must web up the bell and keep it stationary while avoiding his attack. Kraven will also use cloaking tech to disappear and reappear before attacking, similar to Prowler in Miles Morales. You'll have to be alert and quick with your reaction time. He also incorporates a sniper and his dogs to fight off Spider-Man. This is probably the hardest part of the fight, since Kraven will go invisible and the dogs emit an EMP that disable your abilities, so you'll want to prioritize them while being mindful of Kraven's attacks. Peter knocks him down into the ground, but he counters and pins him against a tree, crushing his skull until...
Stop! Sorry about that. I just
It's just me.
Oh my god, they're actually gonna do it. We're actually going to fight Peter. In his first phase, Peter uses a lot of the same attacks and animations during Symbiote Surge, like using his tendrils for melee, web zip, and his webs as projectiles. You can use the bell in the middle to stun him, giving you a chance to counterattack. After enough hits, Peter grabs Miles and slams into the ground. In the second phase, Peter's attacks become more sporadic. He'll leap into the air and slam his tendrils into the ground, create a ball from the symbiote and lob it at you as a projectile, use abilities like the symbiote punch, or even parry your attacks to break out of combos, forcing you to rely on the bell even more. Some more hits later, and Miles manages to pin Peter onto the ground and pulls a Super Saiyan anime slam on him. In the final phase, Peter uses more abilities like Venom Strike and Venom Blast, along with moving around the arena more and his attacks being faster, although it's still relatively the same as phase 2. I absolutely love this fight. The music is incredible with the bombastic drums and swinging in the background, bringing a grand and desperate tone to the fight. The dialogue between Peter and Miles is perfection. You can hear the agony Peter has inside of him, and his only desire to save everyone mixed with the symbiote controlling him to Miles trying to talk Peter out of it. Also, the fact that this is a boss fight between both Spider-Men, how could you not love it? All that being said, the fight feels too easy. I'm playing on ultimate difficulty, and being completely honest here, most of the fights in this game gave me a challenge. Bosses like Martin Lee, Scream, Venom, and even the optional Wraith fight took a lot of deaths to beat, whereas with Peter, it really wasn't that challenging. I understand they wanted to make it easy, since it's one of the most important moments in the entire story. However, the Kraven fight before it was way harder compared to it. I think it comes down to the fact that with the bell being allows you to constantly stun Peter for attacks compared to the Scream fight, where you only got a few options to stun the boss. I also think this is because Peter really doesn't feel like he attacks as fast or as many times compared to the other bosses, which doesn't really translate well considering the combat in Spider-Man 2 is extremely fast-paced and smooth. I think what they should have done to make it more challenging was have Peter destroy the bell before his final phase. Forcing you to constantly dodge his attacks without much breathing room would have boosted this fight to my favorite in the whole series, but it's still one of the most notable fights in the game and one of my personal favorites. Miles leaps onto the bell and starts ringing it to force the symbiote off. Peter manages to get control back and rips off the symbiote, encasing it in a canister. Leaving, he reflects on everything he did in the past few days. I really like the conversation between Peter and Miles here. You can tell how deeply sorry Peter is and how Miles is just glad to have his friend back. He calls Dr. Connors about what he should do with the symbiote, and he tells Peter to head up to Oscorp Tower. Swinging over and heading into the lab, Peter is confronted by Harry. He upsets him and he lashes out, destroying the canister and freeing the symbiote. Knocking him away, Harry leans down and reaches out as the symbiote attaches itself to him, transforming him into Venom. Norman prevents Peter from attacking as Venom grabs and throws him through a wall. Oscorp security enters and, oh my god, they actually did it. Insomniac really did it. I wish I recorded my reaction when playing this for the first time because I was so excited. You get to play as Venom. You have to understand something. The main reason why I was part of the group that thought Peter would become Venom before Spider-Man 2 came out is mainly because of the idea of actually being able to play as Venom. What I wanted the most out of Spider-Man 2 would be to play as Venom, and Insomniac did it. I love this mission. Yes, it's entirely because you play as Venom. I don't care. I still like it. Despite the bigger size, Venom's gameplay is very similar to Peter and Miles. Pressing square repeatedly performs a basic combo. One thing I like is how Venom uses his tendrils during his combat. It's been a little weird to me that the symbiote takes the shape of a gooey tendrils, yet whenever he's with a host, they don't use the tendrils. Venom also has his own special abilities. By pressing L1 and square, Venom will leap into the air, conjoining his arms together and slamming them into the ground with a powerful wave of tendrils spiking out. By pressing L1 and circle, Venom will perform a powerful blast of tendrils out of him, similar to Peter's symbiote blast but way bigger and stronger. His parry also has a much bigger window of opportunity compared to Peter and Miles, so you don't need to be as precise with the timing. Destroying more of Oscorp and heading into the atrium, you unlock Venom's finishers, which speak for themselves. During the calamity, Norman can be heard over the intercom trying to reason with Harry about finding a cure and apologizing to him. Taking out all the security, a Hunter gunship starts firing at Venom and he dashes towards it, crashing into Times Square and taking out all the Hunters hunters, Kraven arrives and faces Harry. Here, we get the second Kraven fight. He uses a lot of the same attacks in his first fight, with some new ones. He prominently uses a spear and shield that can shoot rockets at you for damage, but also throws remote explosives onto the ground that you can pick up. With just how powerful Venom is and his parry being much easier to time, the fight really doesn't take long. Knocking him down and throwing him into a billboard, Kraven thanks him as Venom grabs him by his head. Fleeing the scene, Harry arrives at his mom's grave. Venom manipulates him with her voice and fully takes over. This is something that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Why does Venom want to take over the world and turn everyone into symbiotes? Like, I understand with his control why Harry would think this is healing the world, but why does Venom care? I think this is the main question that made a lot of people not really like this interpretation of Venom when the game was released, because it doesn't really have a clear answer. Venom doesn't have any motive himself, because the only motive we get for him is just Harry's motive in healing the world. We don't even get a line from Venom about why this would heal the world in his eyes. Maybe there was a line somewhere in the game from Venom talking about being connected to Peter. He saw how weak humans are and how symbiotes could help them, considering Peter said multiple times while he had the suit that it makes him a better Spider-Man. I wouldn't really be talking about this as much as if it wasn't for the fact that after the game came out, Venom's voice actor Tony Todd said that only about 10% of his dialogue actually made it into the game. People were surprised when they first heard this last year, but as time went on and we found out more about Spider-Man 2, the more people realized the biggest problem and why this game has such divided opinions on it, which I'll get into shortly. For now, Peter breaks free of the wreckage and sees a destruction at Oscorp. Remembering the EMF badges can be tracked, he tracks the signal through Oscorp's signal towers until he locates it at an overpass. Heading through symbiote tendrils and retrieving the badge, Peter spots something on the ceiling spazzing around, revealed to be a person trapped inside a symbiote. Throwing him through a wall starts the first combat encounter with symbiotes. These are much stronger enemies, similar to Sable in the first game, with multiple different classes. Melees are the most common ones. They sport yellow tendrils across their body and prioritize basic, heavy, and crush attacks. Grabbers sport red tendrils on them and focus on grabbing Spider-Man for damage. Range have purple and shoot up projectiles at you, like daggers and bombs that you can throw back at them. Rushers have green tendrils and cannot be damaged with basic attacks. Instead, you'll have to use either your abilities or gadgets to take them out. And finally are the behemoths, which are primarily gray and blue symbiotes with a ton of health and deal out a lot of damage. These are the hardest enemies to take out since they tank your abilities so well. During the fight, Peter calls Miles and tells him about Harry and the symbiotes, freeing the civilians from the symbiotes and switching over to Miles. He arrives at a shipping dock looking to recreate the sounds of the bell during the Kraven and Peter boss fight. He records a shipping container falling, a bell from a nearby ship, and an overhead helicopter. Miles mixes all the sounds together and adds them to the Sonic Burst gadget, making it a lot more powerful towards symbiotes. Peter and Miles finish taking out the Horde at the docks, and Genki calls them about the subway train getting stuck underground as symbiotes attack. Arriving at the tunnel, they head in and are blocked out by tendrils. Scanning for a weak spot, Peter sees a nerve on the ceiling and uses a sonic blast to break it, opening a path further. They come across a wall of nerves and place a bunch of sonic bursts onto the wall and protect them from hordes of symbiotes as they sync up. The bursts sync up and explode the nerves, spraying the people in the subway. The Spider-Man swing around the city looking for Harry. During this, you will see tendrils reaching high into the air. These are symbiote nests. There are a total of 10 across the city, one in the Upper West Side, Chinatown, the Financial District, Astoria, Little Odessa, and Williamsburg, and 2 in Harlem and the Upper East Side. Upon reaching one, a nerve will be in the center that you can place a sonic burst on. Doing this will start a timer for it to sync and the symbiotes start attacking. All you have to do is survive and make sure the sonic burst integrity doesn't reach 0. While they can be difficult, namely the one that has 2 different nerves or the one that moves around the nest, they aren't frustrating to clear. Now, I talked a little bit about it before with Venom, but I want to wait for a better time to talk about my biggest problem with Spider-Man 2, that being the pacing. Now, that sounded like a lot of information that I just glossed over, but that's just how the game is paced and is my biggest problem with it. I really like how the game takes its time to slowly setting up the symbiote symbiote, takes time showing off the hunters and Kraven, so you get a good sense of how powerful he is, and extremely dangerous first before the symbiote is even brought in. The first act is a slow burn of setting up just how powerful Kraven is compared to anyone Spider-Man fought previously, until from there, Peter gets the black suit and the power dynamic shifts, and we get to see just how strong the symbiote is, but also how dangerous and risky it is. Everything is handled with care and is given its time in the spotlight until Venom kills Kraven. And immediately we get the reveal of his plan, symbiotes infecting people all across the city, and how to defeat them all in one mission. The final act of Spider-Man 2 moves at a breakneck speed compared to the first two acts, rushing through everything. You want to know the comparison? The time in between Harry getting the symbiote and Peter getting the anti-venom suit is less than the time between the Felicia mission with Miles and the Tombstone rescue mission. Hell, the entire third act takes up less time than the introduction of Harry and the reveal of him having the symbiote. How is that? Simple. Spider-Man 2 was extremely rushed. Now, I'm not saying Insomniac intentionally rushed it to make a quick buck, because they didn't. You can tell they were extremely ambitious with this game and had a ton of ideas for it. Just looking at the leaks alone, they were hoping to give the entire Life Foundation symbiotes unique boss fights, not just Scream. The reason this game was rushed was because Sony wanted to hit the fall 2023 deadline, either because they wanted the game to be out sooner or because of the budget, because this game costed them around $315 million to make. For comparison, God of War Ragnarok and Elden Ring both cost $200 million to make each. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 was going to be one of the most ambitious Spider-Man games to date, but Sony forced them to release it in fall 2023, and because of that, we got an extremely rushed final act where Venom doesn't have any strong development for himself. No story segment is given enough time to breathe, because the very next mission has an even more important story brief, and the entire thing just can't meet the high expectations the first two acts established, causing people to feel underwhelmed, and it's why I think Spider-Man 2 will go down as one of the most controversial Spider-Man games to this day. Peter calls MJ and they talk about her promotion, and he tells her about Harry as someone knocks on the door. While rushing over, Connors calls Peter and tells him that the symbiote might still be inside of him. Harry confronts Peter about him constantly saving the city. Peter tells him that they need to remove the symbiote.
Do not call us a thing. Harry. We are not Harry. We are.
Venom goes to attack Peter as MJ protects him and he infects her with the symbiote, turning her into Scream. She grabs Peter and throws him outside, causing a bus to crash and starting the fight. In the first phase, Scream uses her claws, tendrils, and hair for direct combat, along with throwing projectiles at you. One thing is, she focuses on using heavy and crush attacks right after each other, marking this as the final big test to see if you have your dodging and parrying down. There are cars around the arena that you can use to stun her and attack. After some hits, Peter uses MJ's bike to try and free her from the symbiote as she throws him against the wall, starting in the second phase. In this one, Scream will jump onto nearby houses and throw spikes at you, along with the same attacks from the first phase. Peter holds Scream down as he tries to break through to MJ with her books. She grabs him and jumps to the construction yard from the Wake Up story mission. Scream will jump into the air or slam her hair onto the ground, along with using it for combos on you that you'll have to avoid. There are steel pipes across the arena that you can use to stun her to get some damage in, but it's a very finite amount, so you'll want to try and balance your timing and use them at the right time. They both crash onto a shed, and Peter tries telling MJ that he needs her. Leaping after him starts the final phase. Scream gets new types of crush and heavy attacks, with her using her air and slams Peter onto the ground, along with keeping all of her attacks from the third phase. This is a really enjoyable fight, and I just have one question. Why did Insomniac go so hard for the Scream boss fight? Like, of all characters in this game, Kraven, the Lizard, Peter, nah, Scream is where it's at. This fight is incredible. All of her attacks are difficult to dodge without being unfair. The music is fantastic. The locations changed halfway through, making the fight a lot more dynamic. And the best part being the dialogue between MJ and Peter. She rants off about everything wrong in her life, from her job to her relationship, elements about how unhappy she is. Who would have thought that symbiotes would be such good couples counselors? Some more hits later, Scream throws Peter onto nearby scaffolding and starts strangling him. As he manages to break through to MJ and she jumps around, trying to break 3 of the symbiote, eventually succeeding. They celebrate, and she quits her job at the Daily Bugle. MJ tells Peter about a hive mind she saw while infected and a rock Harry was going after. He leaves for City Hall where Miles is fighting off against symbiotes. Arriving and going around the building, fighting off against the symbiotes, they try to get in as the behemoth breaks out and throws Peter onto the road, entrapping both Spider-Man and symbiotes as Martin Lee comes to save him. They see Peter on the ground, covered by the symbiote, as Lee transport him and Miles into Peter's mind. Soaring through his mind to find the source of his pain, they head deeper in and come across a cell block full of villains he's locked up. Upon finding something, Miles gets jumped by the villains from the first game, paying homage to the Spider-Man PS4 Be Greater trailer. Reaching the bottom and fighting off against hordes of enemies, the symbiote kills them all off and they head further into his mind and come across May's house sitting in the middle of an ocean. Heading inside and following May's voice, the symbiote tries attacking Miles as Lee frees him and they head further and reach Feast. Miles asks Lee about why he did what he did. He laments about his action and all the pain he's caused people as they come across the symbiote nerve left behind. Lee begins to transfer all of his power into the symbiote as he empowers Miles with a new move and fights off against the symbiote horde protecting it. Here, you unlock Galvanize. By pressing L1 and X, Miles will punch a target into the air and begin aerial combat with the twist that every hit you send out has an electrical blast at a nearby enemy, dealing damage. A nice ability to have during crowds, but isn't as useful against single enemies. After taking out the symbiotes, Miles heads back up to Lee and helps him free Peter. Once destroying the symbiote left inside of him, they find Peter leaning over May in the hospital bed, crying as Miles extends a hand. They get transferred out of Peter's mind as more symbiotes approach. Peter now has the anti-venom suit. I was not expecting this one either. This is also how Peter keeps all of his symbiote abilities and Surge, all with new anti-venom status, which does extra damage to symbiote enemies. Here you also get 2 new moves, the first one being anti-venom bomb. By pressing L1 and square, Peter will create a ball of anti-venom and throw them at a target, dealing a lot of damage. The second one being anti-venom tempest. By pressing L1 and X, Peter will jump into the air, dragging any enemies caught in his range and knock them away with his tendrils. A really good attack that basically replaces Venom Blast. So why this replaces Venom Yank is beyond me. Once taking out all the symbiotes and the behemoth at City Hall, Lee hands himself in as Connors calls and tells Peter that Venom is in his lab. Harry confronts Norman about his son as Peter arrives and Harry takes off with the meteor, combining it with another piece, and the city is overrun with tendrils appearing everywhere, giving it a similar feel to New York during the final act from the first game. Peter heads to a nearby water tower and meets up with Miles.
That suit's not an alien, is it?
It's time for a Miles Morales original, you know? One of one.
It looks good.
I'm just going to ignore this for now. They decide to split up and look for the meteorite as we switch back to Miles. I'm just gonna... much better. Miles heads over to a nearby nest and fights symbiotes as Venom starts talking to him and drags him into the nerve. He's transported into the hive mind as Venom tries manipulating him to join. He shows him a vision of Haley getting attacked and the location of the meteor as he tries to get Miles to join. Luckily, Miles breaks free and tells Peter about the location. Rushing over and clearing out the bridge, Peter calls and asks him if everything is good as Miles saves Haley from the symbiotes and asks her out on a date. Meanwhile, with Peter, heading deeper into the tunnel, he comes across a massive horde of nerves as Venom sneaks up on him and shows him a vision of them healing the world. Miles rescues Peter and they both flee as they figure out where the meteor is. Heading back to his house, Peter, Miles, and MJ come up with a plan. Peter will distract Venom away from the meteor as Miles takes out all the symbiotes and MJ goes in to grab the meteor. Heading off to the reservoir, Peter upgrades MJ's stun gun with sonic burst capabilities as he jumps in and leads Venom away, and MJ heads into the tunnel, beginning the final mission of the game. From here, you must sneak around the labyrinth to find the meteor. There are some pretty terrifying moments, like when you see an Oscorp security guard get taken off in the distance, or how the light reflects off of certain surfaces, creating harsh shadows around. By pressing R1, you shoot off sonic bursts that deal damage to symbiotes, or can be used on canisters to stun them. The only thing is that it takes about 4 shots to take out a symbiote, and in every encounter here, multiple symbiotes are placed, so there's no real way of stealthily taking them all out. They're going to notice you, and with them running and attacking fast, all this leaves you with is shooting all your shots and then running away, hoping you can get a good position to continue to damage them. It's difficult for all the wrong reasons, not because it puts your skills to the test, but because you just have to get lucky enough that the symbiotes give you an opening to fire on them. This is best demonstrated when, after grabbing the meteor and clearing through hordes of symbiotes, you encounter the behemoth mini-boss. There are canisters around the arena that do help this, however, they don't take him out, forcing you to run around the arena, avoiding attacks, and hoping you can get a good window of opportunity to damage the boss. It's not rewarding when you beat him, it just feels tedious. Heading out of the cave, MJ and Miles rush over to the Foundation as Peter leaves Venom to their old high school. Crashing through the ceiling into the gymnasium, he transforms the school and begins the boss fight. In it, Venom will use his tendrils to slam on the ground, swipe you with his claws, use both heavy and crush attacks, and leap into the air and cover the ground in symbiote, forcing you to jump to the other 2 platforms raised in the sky. Alongside all of that, Venom is also immune to webs, so you can't spam them like you can in other boss fights. Throughout the fight, Peter will try to convince Harry to break 3 of the symbiote, using childhood memories to convince him. It's really tragic to listen to.
You came over every single day after school! Even slept over after your mom got sick!
We couldn't feel like that.
In the second phase, Venom will summon symbiotes to attack you and power himself up, making him invulnerable to basic attacks. You'll have to take out the symbiotes that spawn to charge up your abilities and use them on Venom to make him vulnerable. After some more hits, Harry will grab and hold Peter as he senses the meteor being taken and grows wings. I'm just saying, Insomniac treating us right with these additions. MJ and Miles arrive at the Foundation and turn on the accelerator, as Venom crashes through the window and throws Peter through a wall. Can I just say, I love Venom's powered up look here. Miles traps him under debris and they take Peter away as he breaks free, starting the third phase. Venom flies around the arena, throwing projectiles that you can grab and hurl back at him. Once knocking him to the ground, he gives a lot of the same attacks he had in the first 2 phases. Although, this phase feels a lot easier compared to the first 2. I don't know if it's because they made him weak to Miles' electricity or the layout of the arena, but it does feel easier. Venom tries grabbing Miles as he launches him away with his electricity and throwing MJ aside. He grabs onto the meteor. Miles stops him and enters the final phase of the fight. He gets a new melee, heavy and crush attacks, along with bringing over his move from the second phase where he covers the ground in tendrils that Miles has to jump over. There are sonic canisters around the arena that you can use to stun and deal damage to him, but it's not all that useful. This fight is incredible. Everything I love in a boss fight is here. The fight is dynamic with different attacks and locations, it's challenging without being unfair, the music is phenomenal, there's great dialogue between Venom and the Spider-Man. This is my favorite fight in the game. Venom grabs and slams Miles onto the ground as he grabs the meteor and tries to kill him with it. MJ throws a sonic burst that he puts into Venom's mouth, damaging enough that Harry gets out for a second. Venom tries to leave as both Peter and Miles give chase. Here, we get an incredible section where they fall out of the sky and beat on Venom. It looks fantastic, and the music gives it that extra boost. Miles put the meteor into the accelerator as Venom and Peter crash into a nearby church. He tries his best to hold back Venom as the tower collapses and they crash into the Foundation. He uses his power to try and free Harry. He tells Peter that his time is up and he needs to kill him. Miles is charging up the accelerator, but Venom stops him. Harry and Peter try to stop Venom as MJ starts up the accelerator. Peter manages to free Harry from Venom, but he dies in the process as the meteor is destroyed, completely destroying the symbiote. In the aftermath, Miles manages to use his electricity to bring Harry back, but it leaves him in a vegetative state and Norman blames both Spider-Man. MJ starts up a new podcast and Peter shows her the new startup of the Emily May Foundation and decides to take a break, leaving Miles as New York's main Spider-Man. And that was the story of Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Definitely one of the most divisive stories about the wall crawler. I did share a little bit of what I thought about it earlier, but this is going to be a more in-depth segment. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 continues the overarching message of short-term versus long-term consequences, with the keyword here being balance. In the beginning of the game, Peter is forced to stop teaching the class and deal with Sandman. After the fight, he continues to help around the city instead of heading back to the school, ultimately getting him fired. At May's house, Peter hasn't finished unboxing, and trash is littered everywhere, showing that he still is struggling to keep a healthy lifestyle as Peter, with keeping up his responsibilities as Spider-Man. Once Harry returns, Peter starts pushing Miles away for his best friend. This causes him to start focusing on finding Lee after the transfer boat hijacking, and he starts leaving his family and responsibilities as Miles behind. All of this culminates when Peter is given the symbiote, and he starts losing himself as the suit takes over, convincing him that it makes him a better Spider-Man. He pushes everyone away in order to find Kraven, even leading to Miles getting kidnapped, them fighting, Harry turning into Venom. All of this because he decided to keep the symbiote because it made it easier to forget about balancing his life. Once taking off, Peter has to deal with the repercussions of his actions, with Harry turning into Venom and taking over the city. One of my favorite moments is the conversation Peter shares with Miles near the end of the game. Disgusting suit aside, Peter pours out how much he missed May and can't handle losing Harry again, someone he spent his entire childhood with, someone who means so much to him, one of the few people in his life still alive that he loves. Peter has such an interesting arc in this game. I love how it seems that his life is all intact, he has a job with his best friend, Miles is helping with Spider-Man, he's dating MJ, everything is going great, only for it to slowly come crashing down when he has the symbiote. Also, Venom is a menace. I mentioned it earlier, but this is probably my favorite utilization of Peter infected with the symbiote. The little bits of dialogue during the lizard fight are the best showcase of what I'm talking about. He starts the fight off with the usual Black Suit Spider-Man dialogue we're accustomed to. Once entering the final phase of the fight, it changes. He starts digging deep into Connors, saying his family left because he's too weak to fight the lizard serum, ending off with desperation, screaming at Connors about how he needs him for Harry to survive. Even after removing the symbiote, you can still tell Peter is on his breaking point. He was infected with the Black Suit for days, changing his personality and treating everyone poorly. Then once it's removed, Harry takes it and turns into Venom and infects the city with symbiotes. He's almost lost it and is desperate for Harry to come back to him. Everything about Peter's story in this game is perfection. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for Miles. Yes, I really like his interactions and arc with Martin Lee. I think that was done perfectly. However, my problem with Miles is that outside of those interactions, he really doesn't have anything to do. Of course, this is because Peter was sidelining him for Harry, but it doesn't change the fact that Miles doesn't have a lot to do here. This is best shown off during one of the last missions, where Peter is fighting through waves of symbiote, searching for the meteor, as Miles is off asking a girl out on a date. Like, you can see where I'm coming from. One of these is far more interesting and important than the other. Another thing about the story is Venom, which I've already gone over before, so this will be quick. He doesn't have a unique character or motive for himself that isn't just a twisted, evil bad guy wants to take over the world version of Harry's goal. The most we get as to why Venom is doing what he's doing is Peter saying he's probably making Earth into his new form. A little underwhelming when you have Kraven standing right beside him in the main villain department, yet he's leagues better. I would argue that this is Kraven's best portrayal to date in any Spider-Man media. He is done perfectly as a character. A man suffering from a critical disease who wants to go from someone stronger than him is extremely interesting. He has such a commanding presence while on screen, and you can tell he finds so much joy in hunting people. This is easily my favorite version of Kraven ever told, or it would be, if it wasn't for one small thing. Why does Kraven need to have an entire army of hunters and vehicles like gunships and jet skis? Yes, I understand you need to have enemies to punch and hit in a video game, but I feel like an army of hunters at his fingertips doesn't fit Kraven as a character. He's in it for the hunt, so why would he let other people do all the hunting for him? You can find a letter he wrote in a mission where he says the hunt is sacred, so why would he let anyone else do all the hunting for him? That just doesn't really add that much to his character. So we get two main villains that almost work. What does that lead us with? Not much. I like how this game redeems old villains like Lee, Tombstone, and Mysteria. It helps emphasize the second chances motif the game is showing off. I like MJ's story about not feeling like her life has any purpose. I don't really know what else to say. Overall, while I do like the story Insomniac gave us in Spider-Man 2, I can't help but feel disappointed by it when so many issues could have been changed with minor adjustments. If you want a really good in-depth analysis of Spider-Man's story, I would recommend you watch Colin's video on the topic, since I have a lot of the same opinions as him. But for right now, I'd give the story an 8 out of 10 too much water. That's not all though, because we get two different credit scenes. The first one shows Norman talking to Otto, setting up a team up between Doc Ock and Green Goblin for the third game. And the second one teases an appearance appearance from Silk for the next game.
Cindy.
Okay, this has some interesting implications for Spider-Man 3. Namely, how is Miles going to have a major role in this story considering the two main villains only have connections to Peter? And how is Silk going to fit into all of this when nothing before this scene has even hinted to her making an appearance? I guess that's for us to find out when the next game releases. And that was the main story of Spider-Man 2. Now I'm done talking about all of that, let's move on to the other big chunk of this game, that being the side quests. There are a ton of side quests in Spider-Man 2, divided up into between 5 different categories. Normal side missions, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man app requests, Brooklyn Vision missions, cultural museum missions, and the Flame missions. Starting off with the actual side missions, they all focus on being the finale to an activity found in the game. Grand Finale is unlocked after completing all of the Mysteriums. Entering the last Mysterium at Coney Island, Mysterio appears and starts a boss fight with you. He shoots off blasts of green energy at you, which aren't that difficult to dodge. It takes through different illusions, like one by a Ferris wheel, and multiple Mysterios you'll have to take out, or swinging through an upside down New York City. It's a pretty enjoyable boss fight. After beating him, it's revealed that it's his associates just used his tech to try and frame him. While they get arrested, Miles shares a really good conversation with Beck about people's perception of Spider-Man and Mysterio. Completing the mission rewards you with 2000 XP, 4 hero tokens, 500 tech parts, and the smoke and mirror suit. Room for the future is unlocked after completing all Prowler stashes. After arriving at the location and going through another stash, Miles will find blueprints to an apartment that looks a lot like his. Thinking his uncle broke in, he rushes over and finds his dad's record player is missing and music is being played upstairs. Heading up, he finds Aaron moving into the apartment above and giving him a new piece of tech. After the cutscene, you are rewarded with 8 new rare tech parts, 2000 XP, and the Prowler Strike, a new move that causes the first melee attack you perform while camouflaged to be empowered and knocks enemies back. A completely useless ability that I never found a single purpose for. Like, I understand not wanting to award players with the Purple Rain suit, since it was already awarded tied to a Prowler collectible, but at that point just design a new suit for Miles. Emily May Foundation is unlocked after completing all EMF experiments. MJ calls Peter and lets him know about a package delivered from Norman Osborn in his garage. Arriving, he sees it's a terminal from Harry, thanking him for all of his help and being friends with him. This contains the last plant puzzle, which can be quite difficult to figure out. Completing it finishes the mission, awarding you with 200 tech parts, 1000 XP, and the Peter Life Story suit. Remember is unlocked after completing all Marco memories. Arriving at the beach in downtown Brooklyn, where Sandman fought both Spider-Man in the beginning of the game, you encounter one last crystal. Interacting with it transports you into Marco's mind. Heading further and destroying one last crystal protected by sand enemies, MJ calls and lets Spider-Man know that Marcos keeps repeating an address in Queens. While heading over, Spider-Man gets a call from Sandman. He tells him to deliver the crystals to his daughter. Dropping them off completes the mission, awarding you with 20 city tokens and 2000 XP. The message is unlocked after collecting all Spider-Bots across the map. Genki calls and lets Spider-Man know that he found the location of the pings from the Spider-Bots. Arriving and interacting with the anomaly, a Spider-Verse-like portal opens up and we see a woman working at a bar. She takes all the drones and closes the portal, awarding you with 400 tech parts and 1000 XP. I'm not gonna lie, this feels underwhelming. Collecting all the Spider-Bots, a very obvious tie-in to Across the Spider-Verse since it came out earlier that year, this is the payoff we get for it? Yes, the Bar of No Name was meant to appear in Across the Spider-Verse, but was ultimately cut, but I wish we got more of a connection, like maybe a different Spider-Man appearing and taking the drones away, instead of just an unknown bartender. Target Identified is unlocked after completing all unidentified targets. After chasing the final drone throughout the city, it shows an address in its database. Once arriving, Spider-Man investigates the penthouse as a recording plays over the loudspeaker, clearly meant for Kraven. This penthouse belongs to the Chameleon, revealing he's the brother of Kraven, and the place is rigged with booby traps. Upon leaving, we get a look at the Chameleon, teasing him for the next game. This completes the mission and rewards you with 8 rare tech parts and 1500 XP. All the side missions in Spider-Man 2 are clearly just reward markers for completing activities around the city, and thus not actual side quests similar to what we got in the previous game. game. This is where the friendly neighborhood app requests come in. They act the same for Miles Morales. People send in requests about Spider-Man that they need completing. Some of the requests do require a specific Spider-Man, or you can go in as either. Find Grandpa is unlocked after completing the Suit is Sandy story mission and can be found in downtown Brooklyn. Once talking to Tasha, she tells Spider-Man that her grandfather has gone missing and she can't find him. Handing over a photo of his last known location, Spider-Man rushes over to the zoo exhibit from the Black Cat mission. Once investigating, he finds a letter about a botanical garden nearby. After scanning his inhaler, Spider-Man tracks the medicine in it and follows the trail to Grandpa. While waiting for Tasha to arrive, her grandpa shares a really nice conversation with Spider-Man about love.
You ever been in love, Spider-Man?
Maybe.
It's beautiful. Nothing more beautiful. Can I tell you something, Spider-Man? I know I'm fading. It's scary as hell. Thought I'd be ready, but nothing gets you ready. Nothing. When I'm here, it's like she is too. Like I'm living it all over again.
Once she arrives, Tasha thanks Spider-Man and the mission is completed, awarding you with 200 tech parts, 2 hero tokens, and 600 XP. Rooftop Fireworks is unlocked after completing the Roll Like We Used To story mission and can be found in Williamsburg. Arriving on a rooftop where some guys, Henry and Mike, are launching fireworks, one of them malfunctions and explodes in their faces, knocking one of them out. Spider-Man picks them up and heads over to a nearby hospital. On the way, Mike tells Spider-Man that they were for their deceased brother and to check the docks where they bought the fireworks from. Arriving and seeing the place full of criminals, Spider-Man takes them out and lights up the fireworks, completing the mission and awarding with 200 tech parts, 2 hero tokens, and 600 XP. Photo help is unlocked after completing the Science Buddy story mission and can be found in Midtown. This is a side mission exclusive to Peter Parker. Arriving on a rooftop and talking to Mina, she tells Peter about how she wants to be a photographer for the Bugle just like Peter Parker. Showing the first newspaper Peter's photo made it in gives him a flashback to when Jonah hired him. Here, you must rush through the streets of New York to make it to the Bugle and sell the photos to Jameson. Coming back to reality, Peter helps Mina take a good photo of Spider-Man, completing the mission and awarding you with 200 tech parts, 2 hero tokens, and 800 XP. Howard is unlocked after completing the Science Buddy story mission and can be found in the financial district. Arriving at the docks, we get the reintroduction to Howard. Spider-Man sits down and talks to Howard about his life and experiences. He tells Spider-Man he wants to set his birds free to see the world. Spider-Man agrees and travels across the city, eventually leading them up the river to the perfect location, a peaceful park in Astoria. Taking the train back, Spider-Man reaches Howard only to see...
Oh, hey, Spider-Man.
Hey, sorry. Friend of mine.
Take all the time you need. If it helps, it looked like he was at peace.
He was. He's finally on that adventure with his wife.
I'm not crying, you're crying. Graffiti Trouble is unlocked after completing the Funky story mission and can be found in Little Odessa. This is also the only request you can complete with Miles. Arriving at a flower shop, the owner tells Miles about someone tagging his shop, revealed to be Haley. She tells Miles about her adventure, which I don't care about. Fine, I'll talk about it. Someone tagged the shop and left behind a mess of graffiti art. Exploring around the area, Haley eventually stumbles across the perpetrator and helps them to learn how to properly paint art, completing the mission and awarding you with 200 tech parts, 2 hero tokens, and 800 XP. Monster in Queens is unlocked after completing the Wings of My Own story mission and can be found in Astoria. Interacting with Alma, a blind woman, she tells Spider-Man about a monster in her yard scratching at something. Following the trail through her backyard, a nearby forest, and to a construction site, Spider-Man comes in contact with a hunter dog. Approaching and getting attacked by it, Genki quickly hacks the system and uploads a ton of dog videos to it. The hunters that caused the dog to be damaged in the first place track it down and start attacking. Once taking them out, Spider-Man returns the dog to Alma for a support animal, completing the mission and awarding with 200 tech parts, 2 hero tokens, and 800 XP. Of course, comparing the selection of app requests to Miles Morales or the side missions in the first game does lead to less missions being in Spider-Man 2, but this was done because of the increase of total mission missions spread across the different categories, so I'm fine with there being less requests overall. It also helps that the requests themselves are enjoyable to complete. They are all varied and feel distinct from each other, yet still memorable, and help the emphasis of the friendly neighborhood feel of Spider-Man. Moving on to another similar category to app request, these are the Brooklyn Vision missions. These are all unique to Miles as he goes around the campus helping out students with whatever they need. AV Club Fair is the first Visions mission you unlock after completing the Amend story mission. Arriving at the academy for the club fair, Miles overhears a missing persons report. Investigating further, he discovers that Miss Ferguson has gone missing. Tracking her through her fitness tracker, Miles follows the signal to a warehouse near the docks swarming with thugs. Taking them all out and carrying Miss Ferguson back to the school, the principal thanks Miles and declares him the official hero of Brooklyn's Vision, completing the mission and awarding you with 80 tech parts, 8 city tokens, 800 XP, and other Brooklyn Vision missions. Senior Prank is unlocked after completing the AV Club Fair mission and can be found at the basketball court at the academy. Talking to some students, they tell Miles that the school mascot, Lance, has been stolen by Midtown High right before a big game between the schools. Reading the note left behind and heading to the Stewart building, Miles comes across a series of puzzles that take him all around Williamsburg, all focused on light beam. There is a beam of light being shot, then you must pull mirrors to redirect it to a target that reveals the next clue. They continue to develop this by introducing alternate paths and multiple lights that you need to direct until you found the Midtown kids that took Lance. Swinging back and returning him completes the mission, rewarding you with 80 tech parts, 8 city tokens, and 1000 XP. Lights, Camera, Action is unlocked after completing the AV Club Fair mission and can be found near the front of the school. Interacting with the student, she tells Spider-Man about a drone she was using for her senior project that has gone missing. Tracking it down, Miles finds the drone has been damaged and the footage has been corrupted. While up there, he takes a photo of the school for their project. The student asks him to head around the school taking multiple photos and videos for the school and campus life. Taking the photos completes the mission, rewarding you with 80 tech parts, 8 city tokens, and 1000 XP. Homecoming is unlocked after completing the AV Club Fair mission and can be found in the courtyard of the academy. Arriving and talking to the student, he tells Spider-Man about his plan to ask someone to homecoming in a fancy way, but the generator he was using has failed to be delivered. Arriving at the rental place, Miles sees this being robbed and stops the criminals. The worker tells him that the generator is busted and he heads back to the school to inform the student. He comes up with the idea to use Miles' Venom powers to charge the screen. Powering on the screens and watching the student ask the kid to homecoming completes the mission, rewarding you with 80 tech parts, 8 city tokens, and 1000 XP. A gift is unlocked after completing all the Brooklyn Visions mission. Miles heads to the location marked and sees that it's a gift from all the students as a thank you to Spider-Man. Similar to the app request for Miles Morales, completing the mission rewards you with 160 tech parts, 15 city tokens, 1200 XP, and the Boricua suit for Miles. All of the Brooklyn Vision missions continue the trend set for side missions in these games of being little activities for Spider-Man to help out the citizens, and I really like them. They're all very different from each other. There's a lot of enjoyment to them. Similar to the Brooklyn Vision missions are the Cultural Museum mission, in which Miles helps out a local museum in Harlem for their big gala event happening. I'll go over them quickly since there's only 2 missions to it. Bebop is unlocked after completing the Funky Story mission. Arriving at the park and talking to Rio, she tells Miles about the impound numbers on the truck he caught. She tells him about the pollution emitted from the truck, and with his tech and Genki, he manages to track the truck down to some criminals who are missing the saxophone before being able to sell the instrument. Taking out the thieves, one of their phones starts ringing and the boss of the operation tells them the location of a meeting they're having. Calling Rio and asking her about the sax, she tells Miles about a trumpet player talking about it at the festival in a nearby park. Arriving and talking to the trumpet player, who turns out to be Teo from Miles Morales, he tells him that the sax was sold to a nearby pawn shop. Swinging over and seeing the place smashed, a witness informs Spider-Man that a bunch of thugs dragged the store owner out of the building. Heading into the alley and defeating the thugs, the store owner delivers the sax back to the museum, and the head of the operation messages the phone Miles took about a meeting spot later that night. Completing the mission and awarding you with 200 tech parts, 8 hero tokens, and 1200 XP. Hard Bop is unlocked after completing the Bebop Museum mission. Heading to the meeting spot, we get the reveal that Darren was behind the robbery to reclaim the instruments his family apparently owns. Taking out all the thugs and chasing after Darren in his car, he is arrested and Miles heads to the event of the museum. Heading through the exhibit and dancing with Rio completes the mission, awarding you with 200 XP, 10 hero tokens, 1200 XP, and the City Sounds suit. Finally, finally, we've come to the side quest with the most meat on its bones, the Flame missions. These are Peter exclusive missions that have their own standalone story to them and are great. Where Have You Been is unlocked after completing the immense story mission. A fire chief posts in the app that he needs Spider-Man's help. Arriving at the location, he tells Peter that the demo crew is stuck in a collapsing building as a result of the Sandman attack. Sending a spider drone in and helping the crew out, they tell Peter that someone not accounted for is deeper inside. While sneaking through the vents, he spots some cultists attempting to blow up the building. Heading further in, he comes across someone being held down and about to get branded. Swinging in and fighting off the cultists, the building continues to collapse as Peter fights off more of them. One tries getting away but is flown through the air as someone in a disguise shows up and helps him. She reveals herself to be Yuri Watanabe, although she does go by Wraith. The building continues to collapse and Spider-Man manages to get the cult members all out. Yuri disappears without a trace and the mission is complete, rewarding you with 200 tech parts, 2 hero tokens, and 1000 XP. Everything Burnt is unlocked after completing both the Where Have You Been Flame mission and the Science Buddy story mission. Arriving at one of their hideouts, Peter and Yuri head in to try and find the leader of the cult. Here you get a tutorial for dual takedowns where both you and another character do a stealth takedown on 2 enemies. Heading into another room and taking out the cultists, there's a puzzle on the door that requires a specific tattoo to unlock. Grabbing one of the knocked out cultists and opening the door, they enter a room full of prisoners. Peter and Yuri head into a theater room full of cultists, taking them out and freeing the prisoners. A call from the leader appears on the screen and talks to Peter and Yuri. He tells the both of them his location as more cultists enter, one of them being a flame brute. They have fire powers that strengthen their attacks and allow you to break out of combos. Assisting with the prisoners' escape, Yuri rushes off towards the hospital, but Peter warns her it's a trap. She agrees just to scout it out before going in, and the mission is complete, rewarding you with 250 tech parts, 4 hero tokens, and 1200 XP. I Knew You Had It In You is unlocked after completing the Everything Burns Flame mission and the Fires Have Been Lit story mission. Arriving at the agreed meetup place and seeing the message left behind for him, Peter heads into the old hospital to find Yuri. Maneuvering through the building and past some blueprints for Brooklyn and an Oscorp transfer train, Peter finds Yuri and the Flame fighting. Saving him from danger angers Yuri and she starts her boss fight. In the first phase, she will use her chain to slam onto the ground, use her blade to slash at Peter, pull herself along the floor with her chain, use the chain to throw Spider-Man around, and of course, use heavy and crushing attacks. I found that personally, she was the boss that dodged out of the combos the most, so it can be quite difficult to land attacks in. After enough hits, Peter knocks Yuri onto the ground and grabs the Flame to take him into custody. Unfortunately, he's rigged the place to explode and knocks Peter onto the ground. He looks back and sees Yuri emerging from the fire, starting the second phase. Yuri changes up her style of attacks, namely getting a new combo with even more range and sweeping dust into Peter's eye, allowing her to disappear and reappear at will, similar to Kraven or Prowler, but a lot more difficult since there isn't a bright indicator for her and there's dust all over the screen. This can be a pretty difficult boss that took me a while before I was able to get her attack patterns down. It's easily one of my favorites because of how well it tests your skills. Even though it's unlocked during the second act, it feels like more of an ultimate task for your combat in Spider-Man 2, just like the Venom fight. Peter knocks her into the wall, causing it to collapse. Luckily, he does manage to rescue both of them as Yuri digs him out, completing the mission and awarding you with 300 tech parts, 6 hero tokens, and 2000 XP. It Was Meant For Me is unlocked after completing the I Know You Had It In You Flame mission and the Trouble with Harry's story mission. Coming across a map for Brooklyn near a train yard and burnt photos of Oscorp, Peter heads into the yard to see cultists standing watch, bombs being set up, and innocent people held hostage. Once disarming all the bombs, more cultists arrive and Peter spots Yuri also engaging in combat. While fighting, the Flame can be heard over the intercom telling his members to kill both Peter and Yuri no matter what. Once taking all the cultists out, Peter thinks it's over until he hears a train horn blaring off in the distance. Not being able to directly stop it, Yuri and Peter decide to derail the train. It works, but Spider-Man is stuck under the train and Yuri is knocked out as the Flame enters the fray, revealing what the Crimson Hour is and his master plan was all along.
Before you and I met, one of my Embers told me about his work at Oscorp and this treatment that they had discovered. Who cares, right? A fancy suit that can make you big and strong is just another case of the unworthy trying to cheat death and play God. That's what I thought too. But when devils attack the city, like I prophesied, and Oscorp sent out some of this treatment for safekeeping, I knew it was meant for me.
That's what all this was for.
And when the crimson hour rolls over this earth, it shall bring truth, judgment, and carnage.
The flame was Cletus Cassidy all along, and they're setting up carnage for the future. This was honestly a sick reveal that got spoiled for me. Yuri saves Peter from being burned alive as Cletus escapes. She tells him that she'll keep on looking for him as Spider-Man did a good job, completing the mission and awarding you with 400 tech parts, 8 hero tokens, 3000 XP, and the saving life suit for Peter. And that was the Flame mission. They kind of reminded me of Tombstone missions in the first game, but with way more meat on their bones. I really like the Flame missions if you couldn't tell. They have enough content that makes them rival actual story missions in the game, and I'm a sucker for completely optional boss fights. And those were all the side quests in Spider-Man 2. I really enjoyed all of them. Yes, there were some stinkers, and I don't really like how all the side missions classified in game are just markers for activity completion. However, the actual side content here is one of the best offerings in a Spider-Man game. They truly make you feel that friendly neighborhood aspect of Spider-Man. Now, just like the other videos, I'll be moving on to one of my favorite aspects of Spider-Man 2, that being the suits. Spider-Man 2 features the largest selection of suits out of any Spider-Man game, with a total of 90 suits between both Peter and Miles. Of course, to get to that number, Insomniac brought over a ton of suits from the previous games, so not to be as redundant, I'll be going over the suits that I've already talked about quickly. However, some of my opinions have changed since those videos, so don't skip over all the ends. Starting with Peter's suits. The Advanced Suit 2.0 is an upgraded version of Peter's advanced suit from the first game. If you ask me, this is one of Peter's best suits ever in these games. It takes everything I had a problem with the 1.0 suit and completely fixes them. For example, the suit is actually red this time. I don't have any complaints with this. It's incredible. A nice addition Insomniac made for Spider-Man 2 is that they gave some suits alternate colors, which I'll briefly mention. Style 2 replaces the blue for black and has a much darker red color. This is my favorite out of the 4 here. Style 3 swaps the red and blue around, referencing the character Webman, and Style 4 consists of a bright yellow color with white accents, and it just doesn't work for me. The black suit is unlocked during the Good Men story mission. This is Insomniac's take on the classic black suit design, and is one of my favorite suits in this game. I love the armored look to it, with the more organic muscle parts poking out. This is peak costume design, easily one of my favorite interpretations of the black suit. Style 2 replaces the white spider logo with the red one. Style 3 is primarily white with black highlights, clearly being a reference to Anti-Venom. And Style 4 makes all the muscle parts a dark red color and doesn't really look that good. I'm not a fan of the alternate colors, and I just prefer the base style. The symbiote suit is unlocked after completing the It Shows You story mission. This is meant to be a more rageful version of the black suit, with veins, a more sporadic emblem reaching over the shoulders, and aggressive eyes. While I do really like the design of this suit and what it serves in the story, I still find myself enjoying the design of the black suit more. Style 2 swaps the main black and white highlights around, making it a really good anti-venom look. Style 3 changes the logo to a red color similar to the black suit's second color, and Style 4 changes the black to a dark red, referencing Carnage's main look. The anti-venom suit is unlocked during the Set Things Right story mission. This design is meant to be a tamer look, fitting Peter since the original anti-venom look from the comics would have been too villainous looking for Spider-Man to wear. I'm not a big fan of the design. I think it comes down to the black lines being too bold for me to look sleek. I also hate the spots on Peter's sides. They look so ugly. Style 2 is primarily gray with white accents. This just looks uglier. Style 3 changes the white to red, referencing Carnage again, and Style 4 swaps the black and white around, making the suit look a lot more like the black suit. I don't really like how much the alternate colors for the symbiote suits are all the same. They just blend in together. It could have been a lot more interesting and not just the same colors on repeat. The classic suit is unlocked after completing the surface tension story mission and still looks great in this game. I love the basic look of it, the design is really solid, the colors are bright and appealing, everything is just really good. Style 2 swaps the red and blue around, similar to the Advanced Suit 2.0's third style. Style 3 changes the blue to black, making the suit look a lot more like the original comic look from the 60s, and Style 4 makes the blue a light shade and changes the emblem to a white color. Why was this decided as an alternate color when it basically looks the exact same as the default look? The Scarlet Spider 3 suit is unlocked after completing the Surface Tension story mission. The suit is briefly worn by Ben Reilly in the comics after he stole it from a cosplayer. While it's a suit I personally don't get a ton of use out of and is my least favorite out of the Scarlet Spider suits in these games, I still really like the design with the dark blue and red across it. Style 2 changes the blue to black, referencing Kane's suit from the comics. Style 3 is the same as Style 2 but swaps the red for yellow, which doesn't really look that good. And Style 4 changes the red to white and brightens up the blue parts, a decent looking suit. The Advanced Suit is unlocked after completing the Surface 10 story mission. After the Advanced Suit 2.0 took me up to a 5-star restaurant, it's hard to go back to the Advanced Suit because now the problems I have with it are just worse. Why is it still orange and the blue washed out? Style 2 swaps the blue and red around. We're still doing this. Style 3 makes the whole suit black with some hints of white. This looks clean and is the only reason why I don't absolutely hate the Advanced Suit in this game. And Style 4 changes the blue to green and the white to yellow. Why did they make this? The Kumo suit is unlocked at level 5 and costs 30 tech parts and 1 rare tech part. This is a very obvious Japanese inspired design originally created for this game. I know a lot of people hate this suit and I can certainly see why, but for some reason I kinda like it. It is extremely over designed, but I like the baggy pants with the ropes around his legs, with the contrast between his slim upper body and his baggy lower half. Style 2 changes out the blue for red parts, Style 3 just looks ugly, and Style 4 makes everything monochrome and doesn't look half bad. The hybrid suit is unlocked at level 6 and costs 30 tech parts and 1 city token. In the first Spider-Man video, I said I enjoyed the designs of both No Way Home suits in these games. Not anymore. My opinion has changed less on the hybrid suit, but I do agree that they took what was a pretty well designed Spider-Man suit and just ruined it with so much extra shit on it. The Amazing Suit is unlocked at level 8 and costs 30 tech parts and 1 city token. Just like in the first video, this was my childhood suit and I still love how it works. But it gets even better because this game has the Amazing 2 suit, which is unlocked at level 9 and costs 35 tech parts and 1 city token. This was the main suit worn by Peter in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. This was my most wanted suit for Spider-Man 2 and is easily one of my favorites in this game, arguably my favorite. I love the dark blue and the bright red, the big eyes, and the actual just layout of the suit. Everything about it is perfect and I have no complaints. I'm so happy Insomniac put this suit into this game. The Spider-Man 2099 black suit is unlocked at level 11 and costs 35 tech parts and 2 rare tech parts. The suit is clearly based off of Miguel O'Hara's Spider-Man suit and looks just as good as the first game. I would say even better with the suit styles. Style 2 changes the blue to black and goes so hard. Style 3 changes the red to white accents and makes the blue a much darker purple color, which still looks pretty good. The only design I don't like is Style 4, since bright neon colors really don't fit the design or character of Miguel. The Scarlet Spider suit is unlocked at level 14 and costs 40 tech parts and 2 city tokens. The suit is based off of Ben Reilly's main suit in the comics and still looks really good in this game. Style 2 changes the hoodie part to a deep red and the spandex to black with gold accents. I really like the look of this costume, it gives me Bodega Catsuit vibes. Style 3 changes the hoodie to black and the red to bright purple, which just looks like the 2099 suit. Doesn't really fit this costume. Style 4 swaps the red and blue around, similar to a lot of suits already mentioned. The Superior suit is unlocked at level 15 and costs 40 tech parts and 2 city tokens. The suit is based off of the main suit during the Superior Spider-Man comic run, where Otto took over the mind of Peter Parker and became Spider-Man. I love this suit. The small red on the mask and shoulders contrasting the black of the rest of the suit fits Otto perfectly. Easily one of my most used suits in this game. Style 2 changes the red to a dark blue and spreads it around the suit, along with Style 3, which makes the mask and shoulders black and spreads the red. Style 4 turns the red to white and adds green highlights all over. All styles look good, but I don't like how the colors spread throughout the suit instead of keeping the color at the top like the base design. The anti-Ox suit is unlocked at level 17 and costs 40 tech parts and 2 city tokens. I understand why they brought this suit back, since it was the last suit in the story of the first game, but I don't really like it that much. I think it mainly comes down to the fact that I prefer the design of the big time stealth suit and wish that got brought into the game instead. Style 2 makes the suit all white, looking similar to the superior Iron Man suit. Style 3 turns the black parts red, and Style 4 turns it green. I don't like these styles because they look washed out and don't really match the bright yellow look. The Arachnite suit is unlocked at level 20 and costs 45 tech parts and 3 city token, or unlocked at the beginning of the game if you pre-ordered it. The suit originates from the Infinity Wars comic run, where the universe folded in half and souls started merging. Peter merging with Mark Spector, aka Moon Knight. I really like the character of both Spider-Man and Moon Knight, so to see a combination suit of them in this game is really nice. I love the design of it with primarily white design and red accent. Style 2 changes the suit to be prominently black with orange accents. It looks fantastic, but I wish the accents were more red than orange. Style 3 makes the suit blue with white accents like the logo and the scarf, and Style 4 makes Spider-Man look like he's drenched in ketchup and mustard. I don't like it. The Into the Spider-Verse Noir suit is unlocked at level 22 and costs 50 tech parts and 4 city token. Obviously based on the Noir suit from Into the Spider-Verse, I love this look. This is my favorite design from Spider-Man Noir with a fedora and trench coat. Also, this is the only Spider-Man game where you get to play as Nicolas Cage, so it gets brownie points. The Homemade suit is unlocked at level 23 and costs 50 tech parts and 4 city tokens. The suit is based on the look Peter wore in the final battle of Spider-Man Homecoming. I still don't like this suit. It just doesn't fit the model for Peter in this game. The Spider-Punk suit is unlocked at level 26 and costs 55 tech parts and 2 rare tech parts. Based on the suit of Hobie Brown from the comics, the suit looks the same as the first game, so I have the same opinions on it. Style 2 changes the colors from red and blue to black and red, resembling the look of Kane. I really like this one. Style 3 turns the suit black and white with some red accents, and Style 4 turns the blue and white accents to a gray and black accents, which doesn't look too bad, but it also doesn't make sense considering there's already a black and red color for this suit. The Secret Wars Civil War suit is unlocked at level 28 and costs 60 tech parts and 2 rare tech parts. The suit originates from the Civil War Volume 2 issue number 1 during the 2015 Secret Wars event. Despite having a dumb name, I still like the suit. It has a more militarized look, yet still has that Spider-Man feel to it. Also, how could I not mention the custom web wings on it? Style 2 turns the suit all white with black accents, kind of looking like a winter camo suit. Style 3 leans all the way into the military look with dark green and beige, and Style 4 makes the suit primarily bright pink with some cyan highlights. This looks disgusting. The Iron Spider suit is unlocked at level 29 and costs 60 tech parts and 2 rare tech parts. It's the classic Iron Spider design that looks fantastic. I love this suit. Style 2 makes the bulk of the armor white with gold and is my least favorite out of the 4. It just looks too cluttered with colors for me. Style 3 changes the red to a nice blue, which looks really good, and Style 4 changes it to a black, which is easily my favorite. It's really appealing to look at. The webbed black suit is unlocked at level 31 and costs 65 tech parts and 2 rare tech parts. The suit originates from Spider-Man 3 when Peter was infected with the symbiote. This suit looks fantastic in this game. I love the aggressive eyes, and that spider logo is so cool. Yes, it was an easy shoe-in for this game, but it's because it just makes so much sense being here. It fits so well. The web suit is unlocked at level 32 and costs 65 tech parts and 2 hero tokens. The suit is obviously based on the suit from the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. Just like its symbiote counterpart, I love the look of the suit in this game. Insomniac tweaked it a little bit from the first game, making the colors a bit brighter than before and looks even better here, way more movie accurate. The upgraded classic suit is unlocked at level 35 and costs 75 tech parts and 5 city token. I know I complained about the original name for this suit, but honestly, I may have treated it too harshly. This name sucks. Aside from that, the suit looks pretty good here, not much else. Trust me, you're going to be hearing a lot about the Tom Holland suits later. The new blue suit is unlocked at level 38 and costs 80 tech parts and 2 rare tech parts. The suit originates from the Secret Empire comic run and was worn by Peter while accompanying Franklin and Valerie Richards while the Fantastic Four was absent. The suit has definitely grown on me since time has gone on. I like how clean the suit is with no webbing on it. It's a really appealing design. The only thing I'm not the biggest fan of is that they just took the design of Tom Holland's suit and made it blue. Style 2 features a classic Spider-Man colors on it, and and doesn't look that bad. Style 3 swaps the colors around and makes them darker, which looks awesome. I love the dark tones on this suit. Style 4 takes Style 3 and turns the dark blue into a bright white. Another really good looking design. The upgraded suit is unlocked at level 41 and costs 85 tech parts and 2 hero tokens. This suit is the main suit of Tom Holland's Spider-Man and looks really good. Like I said before in the first Spider-Man video, this suit made me love black and red Spider-Man suits. The only thing I don't like are excessive black lines on the belt and elbows. Aside from that, this suit still looks great and is my favorite Tom Holland suit. The stealth suit is unlocked at level 46 and costs 95 tech parts and 6 city tokens. I said in the first video that I wasn't a big fan of this suit, and my opinions have changed on it since time has gone on. It's gotten worse. This suit has no personality and only feels included in Spider-Man 2 because all the Tom Holland suits were included. It screams marketing gimmick and is only made to sell toys. There's nothing going for it, and yet it's still not the worst MCU Spider-Man suit. Trust me, we'll get to that.
I'll be crying if I look like that too, bro. That's fucked up what they be doing to y'all.
The classic black suit is unlocked at level 50 and costs 100 tech parts and 2 rare tech parts. The suit is based off the classic black suit look from the comics and is perfect. Despite being a simple design, this is one of my favorite suits in Spider-Man 2. I love the sleek look, the big eyes, and that spider logo. The way light reflects on this suit, everything about it is phenomenal. I have no problem. And you're telling me it gets even better? Style 2 turns the black to a deep purple, resembling the look from the Ultimate comic. Style 3 reverses the colors, making it look a lot similar to the anti-Venom suit. And Style 4 is the same as Style 1, but adds in the blue and red highlights from the 90s show. I love every style here, especially the 90s inspired one. There was no reason for them to include it, but I'm so glad they did. It's a contender for my favorite style in the whole game. The Iron Spider suit is unlocked at level 54 and costs 110 tech parts and 3 rare tech parts. This is the design for the MCU's version of the Iron Spider armor, and I'm just sick of it. Can we just stop with this suit? Like, did it really need to appear in every MCU movie with Spider-Man except for Civil War? Did it need to be in both Insomniac games? I'm just tired of seeing this suit and would be glad if this is its last appearance ever. Please don't bring this back for Spider-Man 3. The new red and blue suit is unlocked at level 58 and costs 115 tech parts and 3 rare tech parts. Now, I know I said that I like the upgraded suit the most out of all Tom Holland suits. That was a lie. This is my favorite. The suit is based off of the final suit Peter wore in the ending swing of Spider-Man No Way Home. I love the look of it. The new spider logo is nice and I adore the shade of blue here. It's so appealing to look at and I'm excited to see a return of the movies. This suit better be the only suit Peter gets in the MCU besides the black suit. The black and gold suit is unlocked at level 60 and costs 115 tech parts and 3 rare tech parts. This was the alternate suit Peter wore in Spider-Man No Way Home. I hate it. This suit was only made for toys. That's it. It looks so ugly with all the wires exposed and weird gold lining. If this is meant to be the upgraded suit inside out, why are the eyes the exact same? Why are there just wires exposed like that? Wouldn't that be extremely uncomfortable to wear? Why is this the last suit you unlock through level up? Why not the new red and blue suit or the classic black suit or literally any other suit in this game? I have completely soured on it and it is one of my least favorites in this game. Peter's life story suit is unlocked after completing all EMF experiments. The suit originates from the Spider-Man life story comic run, where Peter wore to travel up to Tony Stark's space station to stop Dr. Doom. I don't know what it is about this suit, but it just looks so goofy to me. The jumpsuit and the Spider-Man mask in the helmet really make the suit stand out compared to the rest in the game, and I kinda like it. Style 2 changes the colors to white and black with red highlights, looking similar to the tracksuit. Style 3 reverses the colors, and Style 4 turns the suit all orange, making it look a lot more like a traditional astronaut suit. The last Hunt suit is unlocked after completing all Hunter bases. The suit is inspired by the design of Kraven the Hunter and originally created for the game. While I do understand why they put it in here, I don't really think the combination works well. I like the puffy mound around Spider-Man's neck, but that's about it. Also, this suit has some terrible alternate colors. Style 2 turns the suit green, Style 3 makes it blue, and Style 4 makes it white with dark gray. All of these look washed down and faded, preventing any from looking interesting. I've probably played with this suit the least out of any in this game. The Saving Lives suit is unlocked after completing the Flame side mission and is a cross between Spider-Man and Wraith. This is the definition of over-design to me. The actual material and clothes making up the suit aren't all that interesting, so to compensate, Insomniac just threw lines everywhere everywhere, which just makes the design look cluttered and not all that enjoyable. Style 2 changes the colors to be white with gray accent, which isn't horrible. Style 3 makes the majority of the suit red and is probably the best one, and Style 4 is similar to the previous style but green. The next couple of suits are all from the digital deluxe version of the game and are readily available once you unlock the suit's menu tab, starting with the Arancha suit. This suit is an original creation for the game designed by Raf Grassetti, the assistant director for the God of War games. This is definitely a suit in Spider-Man 2. What do you want me to say? It's an over-designed, forgettable suit that doesn't leave a lasting impact on me. I like the more spider-like mask, but the rest of it doesn't work. The Apocalyptic suit is an original creation for Spider-Man 2 designed by Jared Marantz, known for making a ton of concept art for Marvel and DC movies. The suit looks very similar to the Mad Max set and gives a look at what Spider-Man would look like in a post-apocalyptic world. I really like the Apocalyptic suit. I'm a sucker for apocalyptic designs and especially metal arms, and this suit hits all the boxes for me. The spider logo is a cool new take on the concept, and I love the broken armor piece. The only thing I don't like is the hair at the top of the mask. This suit would have been perfect if not for the mohawk. It just looks stupid. The Tactical suit is an original creation for Spider-Man 2 designed by Joel Mandish, a concept artist known for his work on a lot of games, most notably Days Gone. So, I mentioned in the first video that one of my favorite suits in Marvel Spider-Man was the Armored Advance suit. It looks sleek yet still bulky with a fantastic color palette. Now just take that suit and make it worse and you get the Tactical suit. I don't like it. The colors are washed out and it continues the problem of being over-designed for no reason. Gray is just thrown all over the suit with no cohesion, making it cluttered despite being a slim design. I wish Insomniac just brought over the Armored Advance suit instead of making something worse. The Stone Monkey suit is an original creation for Spider-Man 2 designed by Victoria Ying, known for creating many children's books. The suit is inspired by Chinese legend Sun Wukong. The suit sports bright red across the chest and legs with a deep blue for the mask and arms. I really don't have many strong opinions for this suit. I like the shoulder pads and the flares on the wrists and legs, but the chest feels barren and empty without a spider logo on it. The 20th Century suit is the final digital deluxe suit for Peter and was designed by Antonio Francisco, known for his work on many MCU movies. This suit is similar to the Life Story suit, but stands on its own with a more futuristic task and a cosmic Spider-Man-esque mask. Similar to other suits in the digital deluxe edition, I don't have many thoughts on it. It's a nice design with some good contrast and shaping to it. My only problem is that I wish the spider logo was a little more obvious. I can see what they were going for with the idea, but it could have been executed better. The Hellfire Gala 2022 suit was added in update 1.002 for the game. The suit originates from the Hellfire Gala comic run in 2022 and was Peter's suit to the event. I adore the Gala suit. It's one of my personal favorite alternate costumes Peter has worn over the years. Spider-Man's 2 version of the suit doesn't really do the suit justice, but I still like it. My issues with it in this game is the brighter black, almost looking gray, and the over-designing that Insomniac loves to do. The brighter gray mixed in with the purple makes the red pop less and doesn't look as striking as the comics version of the suit, but it's still the Hellfire Gala suit, which is a personal favorite of mine. The Fly suit was added as DLC in the Fresh and Fly suit pack and created by Gameheads. This suit was made to help promote a game studio dedicated to supplying students of color in the gaming industry and is a fantastic cause. That doesn't mean I have to like the suit though. I think the concept of an 80s inspired Spider-Man suit is a fantastic idea, but the execution is where it falls flat. The actual design is extremely boring. To compensate, they just throw a bunch of bright colors and shapes at you that don't blend well together. Go support Gameheads as it's a great cause, but I'm not the suit. The Fluoro suit was added in update version 1.003, or I'm just gonna call the June update because it's easier to say, and is an original creation for this game designed by Kid Super. Hey, this is editing me. Something that I actually got wrong was it wasn't just designed by Kid Super. He actually collaborated on this suit with Lando Norris, a popular motorsports racer. Just thought I should quickly mention that. Wasn't just designed by Kid Super, it was designed by 2 different people. The suit is meant to be a mashup with Spider-Man and a racing suit. This is where my big problem arises with some of the suits in this game, namely the mashup ones, where they look nothing like a Spider-Man suit. The only thing on this one being the spider emblem on the chest. That's the only reference to Spider-Man in the suit. Not impressed. Style 2 makes the suit resemble the advanced suit a lot more with the red and blue color scheme and a white spider emblem. Style 3 turns the yellow accents white and keeps the emblem from Style 2. Style 4 makes the suit suit a deep blue with bright pink accents. Can Insomniac please stop making suit styles bright blue and pink? It never looks good. The Motor Chick suit was added in the June update and also designed by Kid Super, combining a Spider-Man suit with a motorcycle aesthetic. I hate this. This is my least favorite in the game. The only thing I like about it is the emblem on the belt. The mask looks terrible. It makes Peter look like he's smiling. The random dull lines across the jacket and pants are distracting. Everything about this suit doesn't work. Style 2 turns the colors into Spider-Man's classic red and blue and should have been the default color scheme. Style 3 turns everything black with white highlights. It does improve the suit, but it doesn't change the fact that I'm still looking at the Motor Chick suit. Style 4 makes the jacket brown and the mask black. The Last Stand suit was added in the June update and originates from Spider-Man of Earth 1312500. I still haven't changed from my first Spider-Man video. It's fine, but I don't really care for it personally. Style 2 turns the black to a bright blue and doesn't fit this version of Peter. Style 3 turns the suit completely black with some white highlights and looks incredible. Okay, now I see why people like the Last Stand suit. Style 4 turns the red to a bright yellow and the black to green. Why does Insomniac keep on making Spider-Man look like condiments? I don't want a mustard and relish Spider-Man. The final suit for Peter in this game as of the time I'm writing this is the Peter Parker Into the Spider-Verse suit. The suit originates from Into the Spider-Verse and was worn by Peter of Earth 1610B. I love how this suit looks in the game. I adore all the Spider-Verse suits for obvious reasons, but still, this looks clean. It was always weird to me that the only Spider-Verse suit Peter had for a while was the Noir suit, so this just feels right to include. And that concludes all of Peter's suits, but we still have Miles' selection to go through. We're almost done, just a little bit further. The Miles Morales upgraded suit is the main suit Miles wears in Spider-Man 2. The suit is heavily based on his classic comic book suit, with the only big change being the bold red lines on his arm. I do really like this suit. It fits Miles as a character and does shake up the classic suit design a little bit. I only wish that this suit had the same evolution as the advanced suit did for Peter, instead of looking almost identical to his classic comic suit. Style 2 changes the colors to be a lot closer to Peter. Style 3 changes the red on the mask and shoulders area to a bright blue, and it doesn't look half bad. It kind of gives an aquatic or winter-esque look. And Style 4 turns all the black to white and doesn't really blend well with the thin red webbing line on the mask. The Evolved suit is unlocked during the finally free story mission. Do I even need to talk about it? Everyone knows this suit is bad. Why doesn't the mask match the same color of black as on the rest of the suit? Why is his hair sticking out the top? This could have been fixed if you had just put the hood over his head. Why, in trying to be a Miles Morales original, did they make the suit look closer to Peter's suit? Why does none of it match? The mask and the legs are black with accents, yet the chest part is bright blue and cyan. Nothing about this suit works, so why did Insomniac include it? Simple. Adidas.
What?
If you somehow don't know, the Evolved suit was part of an Adidas promotion, so this suit is only in the game to advertise overpriced clothing. Great. Style 2 changes the red to a white and makes the glowing cyan fade from orange to blue. Style 3 turns the whole suit black with some bright orange accents. This would have been a much better color scheme for the suit. Style 4 turns the whole suit white, but keeps the cyan on the chest and arms, and the red amount around his eyes. All of these alternate colors look fine, but doesn't change the fact that they're all on the Evolved suit. The Family Business suit is unlocked after completing the Suit is Sandy story mission and costs 20 tech parts and 1 city token. The suit is based off of the Aaron Davis Iron Spider armor he wore while returning to a criminal life. I love the classic Iron Spider design, and especially the black version of it, so to see this suit in the game is pretty nice. Style 2 makes the suit primarily green. Style 3 changes it to look closer to Prowler's classic colors with the bright purple and green accent. And Style 4 changes the hands and boots to red, referencing Miles' own Iron Spider armor from the Carnage Reign storyline. I love this alternate color scheme. The Miles Morales classic suit is unlocked after completing the Suit is Sandy story mission and costs 20 tech parts and 2 city tokens. This is Miles' classic design from both the comics and the Miles Morales game. Just like its name, this suit is a classic. Still to this day, a really solid design that fits the character. Style 2 changes the upper half to a deep red, looking similar similar to Peter's upgraded or the superior suit. Style 3 changes the red to a bright purple and looks stunning. I feel purple naturally works for Miles' suit. And Style 4 inverts the colors by making the suit primarily a bright blue and white. I'm not really feeling this one. The track suit is unlocked after completing the Suit is Sandy story mission and costs 20 tech parts and 1 city token. The suit is an original design for this series and still looks fantastic. The bright white contrasting nicely with the black and red, and I love how the logo continues all throughout the suit. Style 2 changes the colors to be closer to Peter's colors. Style 3 reverts back to the Miles' classic colors by replacing the white with black and makes this suit looks beautiful. The reason why I felt that Miles' upgraded suit was a little underwhelming for not really changing the design away from the comics is because this suit style was what I was wanting for the upgraded suit to look like. If I'm ever going to replay this game, I'm using this over the upgraded suit. And Style 4 changes the colors to neon blue and pink.
Why are we still doing this?
The Brooklyn 2099 suit is unlocked at level 7 and costs 30 tech parts and 1 hero token. This suit is an original creation for Spider-Man 2 designed by Turing Clark, known for his work for Marvel, DC, Sony, and many others. This is one of my favorite suits in the game. I love the futuristic feel without it being over-designed. The bright pink lights contrasting well against the dark gray and black of the suit. The slim chest and head compared to the baggy pants fit well for this design. Everything works for me here. Style 2 turns the gray into a pure black and the pink to a bright blue, which looks amazing. Style 3 adds a slight hint of blue and makes the lights a dark green, and I'm not a big fan of the look, it just doesn't mix well together. And Style 4 brightens the darker parts and turns the pink to a vibrant orange, which would have looked good, but I don't really like the tint they gave the upper half. The sportswear suit is unlocked at level 10 and costs 35 tech parts and 2 city tokens. Just like in Miles Morales, I adore this suit. It blends the Spider-Man suit design with basic clothing perfectly. My only problem with it is that there was no way to change the mask to be Miles' classic mask, and I'm so glad Insomniac added styles to the suits because every alternate skin for the suit has that black mask, making these some of my favorite styles in the game. Style 2 swaps the red on the hoodie and blue on the coat. Style 3 turns the coat black, making it look a lot closer to Miles' classic colors, and Style 4 changes the coat to a green, inspired by the clothing Miles wore in the What's Up Danger scene in Into the Spider-Verse. I love all of these suit styles for the sportswear suit. The Miles Morales life story suit is unlocked at level 12 and costs 35 tech parts and 2 city token. The suit originates from the Spider-Man life story comic run where Miles was possessed by Otto Octavius, essentially being Miles' own superior suit. A lot of people really like this suit. I'm not one of them. I think it just mainly comes down to the fact that it doesn't have the same charm as Peter's life story suit or is as cool of a design as the superior suit. This is one of the only times where I would have preferred Insomniac make a new suit for Miles inspired by this superior suit instead of including one from the comic. Style 2 changes the black and red to a white and light gray, which would have looked really cool if it wasn't for the mask standing out so much. Style 3 adds more red across the suit and gives it a more personality and flavor compared to the base design. And Style 4 replaces the silver and red on the suit with a nice gold color which contrasts nicely against the black. A pretty decent selection of styles. The Miles Morales 2099 suit is unlocked at level 13 and costs 35 tech parts and 2 rare tech parts, based off an alternate cover from Miles Morales Spider-Man issue number 12 and carried over from Miles Morales. This suit still looks incredible. I love the glowing eyes and the bright simple lines across the suit. Also, the hoodie being up makes the evolved suit look worse in comparison. Style 2 changes the dark blue on the bulk of the suit to black and the highlight colors to bright blue and purple. Style 3 changes the suit to white with black and red accents, and Style 4 makes the suit a strong black with gold accents that look beautiful. This is one of my favorite styles in the whole game. The advanced tech suit is unlocked at level 16 and costs 40 tech parts and 2 city tokens. My opinions haven't changed since Miles Morales. I still don't really care for the suit. Style 2 changes the black to a bright blue, Style 3 turns the suit to a bold white, and Style 4 changes it to a deep red. All of these suit styles besides the third one don't really look good or work for me. The Shadow Spider suit is unlocked at level 18 and costs 45 tech parts and 3 city tokens, or is readily available if you pre-order the game. The suit is based off of a suit in the Champions Volume 2 where Miles became the Shadowed Spider. The Shadow Spider suit has a really clean design. I love the cape on the back, the design on the mask, and the triangular chest. The only thing that is a little weird to me is the barren chest with no spider emblem. It just kind of looks empty without one. Style 2 changes parts on the suit to white and replaces the red with the bright yellow, which would have looked really good, but all the white is thrown on looks clunky. Style 3 replaces the red with a bright blue and adds some tint to the clothes, and Style 4 changes the red accents on the suit with a silver and turns the entire underside of the cape bright red. The style looks good, but a bit too similar to the base design. The Miles Morales 2020 suit is unlocked at level 19 and costs 45 tech parts and 3 city tokens. This is one of my favorite suits in the series. The techno look to it with a cool jacket is full of exaggerated
swagger of a black teen.
It gives me goosebumps every time. Style 2 reverses the black and red on the jacket and adds blue highlights across the suit, kinda looking like Michael Jackson. Style 3 replaces the red for a bright purple that looks incredible. This is a style that made me love purple on Miles' suits. And Style 4 changes the black for white and red parts for a bright green. It looks fine, but underwhelming compared to the rest of the alts. The Purple Rain suit is unlocked at level 21 and costs 45 tech parts and 2 hero tokens. This suit is a cross between Spider-Man and Prowler. It's got a good design, but I don't really like how the gray padding clashes with the smooth purple and green. Style 2 changes the purple to a dark gray, making it similar to the color on the padding. The bright green contrasts the dark gray and green nicely. Style 3 brightens the purple and spreads the green along the chest and leg, making it match the classic design of Prowler a lot more. And Style 4 changes the green emblem to a deep red and purple to a gray spread throughout the suit. Another decent color. The Bodega Cat suit is unlocked at level 24 and costs 50 tech parts and 4 city tokens. Of course I still love the Bodega Cat suit. This sleek Spider-Man suit with big eyes and that baggy red hoodie looks fantastic, and the cat named Spider-Man makes this suit even better. Style 2 changes the hoodie to a deep red, Style 3 changes the hoodie to a navy green, and Style 4 makes the hoodie black with a red spider logo. I really like how all the styles just change the color of the hoodie, and the last two change the mask on the cat to Miles' colors, a really nice touch. The Forever suit is unlocked at level 25 and costs 55 tech parts and 2 rare tech parts. The suit originates from a variant cover of Black Panther Volume 8 Issue 5 for the 60th anniversary of Spider-Man. This suit is obviously a cross between Black Panther and Spider-Man and looks fantastic. I love the design on the chest and neck, and the bright red makes the suit pop. Although I do have to say this suit does look a little bit too much like a Black Panther suit and not as much of a Spider-Man suit. Style 2 turns the entire suit black to look similar to T'Challa's main suit. Style 3 turns the highlight to gold similar to Killmonger, and Style 4 changes the highlight to a bright purple, resembling T'Challa's second Black Panther suit that stores kinetic energy. All of these look phenomenal. The Miles Morales homemade suit is unlocked at level 27 and costs 55 tech parts and 2 hero tokens. This suit is from an alternate telling of Secret Invasion from Spider-Man Annual Volume 2 and looks decent. I like the feeling that Miles ran out to a nearby store and bought everything. Gotta love those Tims too. Style 2 changes the jacket to an all red with black logo, which fits Miles' classic look a lot more than the base design. Style 3 changes the red on the clothes to blue and isn't my favorite look. And Style 4 is the same as Style 2 but changes the red to a bright cyan. Decent but nothing special. The Miles Morales Into the Spider-Verse suit is unlocked at level 30 and costs 60 tech parts and 2 hero tokens. The suit is clearly based on the main design from Into the Spider-Verse. I adore this suit. It's easily one of my favorite classic Miles designs. The limited amount of red really makes those parts stand out, and the spider logo is perfect. This is once again up there with some of my favorite suits in the game. The Into the Spider-Verse SB suit is unlocked at level 33 and costs 70 tech parts and 5 city tokens. The suit is based off of the store-bought suit Miles wore for a majority of Into the Spider-Verse. This is a really goofy suit that I love. It's a Spider-Verse suit, of course I love it. The bright blue and cape on the back fit really well, and the massive eyes are a nice touch. It is a little weird that this suit wasn't in Miles Morales, but I'm glad they put it here. The End suit is unlocked at level 34 and costs 70 tech parts. The suit originates from the End comic art. Just like in Miles Morales, I feel the suit is extremely underrated. I love the spider emblem and jacket contrasted with the pixelated pants and boot. It's a really solid design. Style 2 adds a lot of purple to the hoodie and pants and inverts the shirt and mask colors. Style 3 changes some of the red and black around and adds some green to the pants, making them look a lot more militarized. And Style 4 adds a lot of white to the hoodie and undershirt, similar to the look of the tracksuit. The 10th anniversary suit is unlocked at level 36 and costs 75 tech parts and 2 rare tech parts. The suit originally debuted in Miles Morales Spider-Man issue number 29 during the Clone Run and was made to commemorate Miles' debut in comics. This is a beautiful suit. I love the contrast from the dark gray and the bright pink, the slim suit underneath the bulky jumper. My favorite part is the dual mask, almost looking like a ninja-esque spider suit. Style 2 changes the bright pink to a deep red, making it look a lot closer to Miles' classic suit. Style 3 takes Style 2 and swaps the colors around, and Style 4 changes the pink to a nice fade from purple to cyan, which looks stunning. I love all the styles for this suit. The programmable Matter suit is unlocked at level 37 and costs 80 tech parts and 2 hero tokens. The suit is an original creation from Insomniac and brought over from Miles Morales. I said in that original video that I'm not a big fan of this suit, and that still remains true. They did darken the metal panels so the red lights do fit better, but I'm still not a big fan of how it looks. Style 2 changes the red to a purple, looking a lot more similar to Underground, which is what the suit is based off of, so it works better for me. Style 3 changes the lights to a bright yellow, and Style 4 changes it to a bright green and doesn't really look the best. The Strike suit is unlocked at level 39 and costs 80 tech parts and 6 city tokens. The suit was an original creation by Dave Raposa. Just like before, I think this suit isn't talked about as much as it deserves. I love the gauntlets on his arms and the bright yellow color, looking like they're powered by his electricity. The collar on it gives it that nice added touch. However, the reason why I like this suit more in Spider-Man 2 is because of the styles with it. Style 2 turns the suit monochromatic with white and gray and primarily black accents. Style 3 swaps the red and black around and makes the lights more of a purple, similar to Miles' new blue electric powers in this game. And Style 4 turns the entire suit black, which looks fantastic. I only wish the gauntlet lights changed to be closer to the blue electricity. The Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. suit is unlocked at level 39 and costs 80 tech parts and 6 city tokens. The suit originates from a variant cover of Miles Morales' Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 9, where Miles wore a S.H.I.E.L.D.'s agent suit. This is what the stealth suit should have been. I love the navy blue coloring with white accents. Style 2 changes the suit to be entirely black and looks incredible. Style 3 turns the suit to be closer to Miles' classic colors with primarily black and red accents, and Style 4 turns the blue to a light gray and adds some gold highlights and doesn't look that bad. The Great Responsibility suit is unlocked at level 42 and costs 90 tech parts and 2 rare tech parts. The suit originates from the Ultimate Fallout number 4, where Miles became Spider-Man. For being a beginner Spider-Man suit, it looks well at being that. Style 2 turns the suit all white with black, which I'm not a big fan of. I think it just comes down to the white looking like a slight blue tint to it. Style 3 turns the suit primarily black with red highlights, looking a lot closer to Miles' classic suit, and Style 4 changes the bulk of the suit to a bright red similar to Kane's main suit. The Across the Spider-Verse suit is unlocked at level 44 and costs 95 tech parts and 2 hero tokens. This suit is based on the main suit Miles wore in Across the Spider-Verse and looks beautiful. I adore this design. The logo is fantastic. I love the sharp legs in the circle that fits Miles as a character. The red lines underneath the arms and alongside the suit are great. They really pop compared to the dark black and blue of the suit. This is one of my favorites in the entire game. The Crimson Cowl suit is unlocked at level 48 and costs 100 tech parts and 2 rare tokens. This suit is based off of the Crimson Cowl, who debuted in the Thunderbolts comic run. I wasn't a big fan of the suit in Miles Morales. However, I think I like it more in this game. I still have the same problems with it. I think the suit is over-designed and should have stuck to the cleaner look from the comics, and not the biggest fan of the multiple reds used. But it's the styles that really do it for me on this one. Style 2 makes the suit primarily black with some red accents, closer to Miles' classic colors. Style 3 is similar to Style 2, but with a greenish cyan, which I think looks fine. And Style 4 mixes white into the black and adds orange highlights. Okay, this one doesn't really look that good. The Best There Is suit is unlocked at level 52 and costs 105 tech parts and 7 city tokens. The suit is clearly a cross between Wolverine and Spider-Man, and I think it looks really nice. I like the bold red and the simple design with the hoodie on top. My only problem is that it's kind of just a Wolverine suit. Yeah, I know that's the point of it, but this suit is meant to be a cross between Spider-Man and Wolverine, not just a Wolverine suit with different colors. And yes, this also goes for the Forever suit. Style 2 changes the colors to be closer to the classic John Byrne Wolverine suit with the brown and yellow. Style 3 changes it to look closer to the X-Force Wolverine suit, and Style 4 changes the colors to the classic Wolverine yellow and blue colors. All of these suit styles look fantastic, and I'm a big fan of them. The Dark Ages suit is unlocked at level 56 and costs 110 tech parts and 3 hero tokens. The suit originates from the Dark Ages story, where an EMP knocked out all the electricity and both Venom and Carnage bonded with Spider-Man. I love the concept of this suit. Combining both Venom and Carnage with Miles is ingenious, and the suit luckily lives up to the hype. I love the spider logo, which continues all across the suit, and the hoodie fits Miles perfectly as a character. Style 2 reverses the colors, making the suit look a lot more like Carnage. And Style 3 changes the colors to a white and black, resembling Anti-Venom. Style 4 replaces the red with an orange gradient, similar to Miles' Iron Spider design, and looks amazing. The absolute Absolute Carnage suit is unlocked at level 60 and costs 115 tech parts and 3 hero tokens. The suit originates from the Absolute Carnage comic run, where Miles bonded with the Carnage symbiote to destroy it. Despite probably being my least favorite Miles symbiote design in this game, the suit still looks really cool. I love the bright orange eyes and the sporadic emblem and webbing, fitting Carnage as a character. Style 2 changes the red and black around and makes the eyes blue. Style 3 turns the red and orange to the washed blue color, which also looks great. And Style 4 makes the suit monochromatic, similar to the anti-venom design. All of these styles I think look fantastic. The King in Black suit is unlocked after completing all symbiote nests. This suit originates from a variant cover of Miles Morales' Spider-Man issue 21. The suit is clearly a cross between Null and Spider-Man and looks phenomenal. This is my favorite symbiote Miles design. I love the spider emblem on the chest, the spikes on the shoulders, and the bandaged arm. It's all incredible and one of my favorite suits in Spider-Man 2. Style 2 swaps the colors, making it look a lot similar to Carnage. Style 3 changes the suit to black and white, similar to Anti-Venom, and Style 4 turns the suit to primarily shades of green, similar to the symbiote Lasher. While all these are nice styles, I wish they referenced more obscure symbiotes like the rest of the Life Foundation, instead of just another Carnage and Anti-Venom style. The Borakua suit is unlocked after completing all Brooklyn Vision's mission. The suit debuted in Marvel Voices Community, and takes Miles' classic suit and has the Puerto Rican flag onto the chest. Just like the Uptown Pride suit, I love the purpose of this, representing Miles' connection to his community. I'm glad Miles gets some more of his Puerto Rican side represented, since it doesn't get a ton of light. Style 2 changes the black on the suit to a deep blue, Style 3 turns it to a dark red, and Style 4 changes it to a bold white. All of these aren't the most creative changes, but they also don't look terrible. The Smoke and Mirror suit is unlocked after completing all Mysteriums. The suit was originally created by Insomniac for Spider-Man 2, and is a cross between Mysterio and Spider-Man. This is the most disappointing suit in Spider-Man 2. I love the glass mask with the smoky eyes. It looks so cool. The colors are bright and appealing, with the gold armor is a great touch. So why don't I like this suit? It's over designed. The suit is full of lines with no purpose other than looking complex, and it just doesn't really work for me. I feel like what they should have done is probably gone with the texture that is known for Mysterio, with the squares all over the place, instead of just throwing lines everywhere. It really would have been a much better look. Style 2 changes the suit all white and black, and is a reference to the White Power Ranger. Wasn't expecting it, but I mean, I'll gladly take it. Style 3 swaps the purple and green around, and Style 4 changes the suit to a gray with red accents and looks fantastic. I love how the glass helmet changes to a dark red in this one. The Most Dangerous Game suit is unlocked after completing all the Hunter bases, and is the exact same thing as the last Hunt suit.
Know your place, trash!
The City Sound suit is unlocked after completing all the Cultural Museum side missions, and is an original creation from Insomniac. I love how this suit looks. Is it hypocritical for me to not like the ESU suit and Spider Training suit from previous games, yet I love this one? Maybe. Do I care? No. The suit is sleek and fashionable. I love the fedora and chain on the belt. Everything just looks so clean. Maybe it's the jazz fan inside of me that boosts his suit up more, but how could it not? Style 2 changes the suit to be darker with blue highlights. Style 3 adds some purple tint to the clothes, and Style 4 turns the whole suit to a brighter yellow and green gloves. I don't like this. The Encoded suit. And the next couple of suits are also from the Digital Deluxe version, and is a unique design for Spider-Man 2 created by Chris Anka, the lead character designer for Across the Spider-Verse. Yes, I love the character design of Across the Spider-Verse, and Anka is an incredible artist. But I don't like this suit. It falls into the trap of feeling over-designed for the sake of just simply being over-designed, and I wish it kept up with the cleaner look from the Spider-Verse movies. The Biomechanical suit is an original creation from Jared Mendez. I love the almost alien feel to this suit. It makes Miles look like he's from another world, with the bright red muscles and dark spiky plating on his shoulders and forearms. My favorite parts are the emblem and the mask with the spider-like mouth on it. Everything about this suit is great. The Tokusatsu suit is an original creation for Spider-Man 2 created by Julia Blattman. This is how you do a Japanese inspired suit. It's breathtaking. I love the futuristic look, the bright red lights all across the suit, the spider emblem spread across his chest, and the broad shoulders. It seems Miles only really got the good suits from the Digital Deluxe. The Agima suit is an original design from Anthony Francisco. So the last statement isn't fully true, because this suit is terrible. Why are the color combinations bright purple and gold? There's so many lines all over the suit. It's over designed to oblivion. The mask looks terrible. The emblem is tiny. Nothing looks good here. Oh yeah, and this suit also has toes. Nice to see Anthony is also a man of culture. The Red Spectre suit is an original creation created by Sweeney Boo. Do people still like this suit? Like, I remember people were excited for the Red Spectre suit before the game dropped, but now it seems people just aren't a fan anymore. I guess I'll be its only one. I love the bright red contrasting with the black suit. The bold white armor spider emblem is a nice touch added on top. The only thing I don't really like is the mask. Like, each piece is good on its own, but putting the dual mask pieces, the hair peeking out, and the hood all together doesn't really mix well. The Hellfire Gala suit was added in update version 1.002, alongside the Hellfire Gala 2022 suit. The suit originates from the Hellfire Gala from the comics. This is a really nice suit. I love the purple blazer and the dark dress codes underneath. It fits Miles's character perfectly. The only part of the suit that I don't really like are the bright orange glasses. I feel like they kind of clash with the rest of the suit too much to look appealing. It would have been way better if they just went with a normal Spider-Man mask. The Fresh suit is part of the Flying Fresh suit pack and is an original creation from Gameheads. I feel pretty much the same with this suit as I do with the Fly suit, although I think the colors do mix better here than Peter's, so I'll put it slightly better, but not by much. This suit isn't really nice to look at. The Metro suit was added in the June update and just looks stupid. I try to thoroughly explain my opinions on any topic, but I mean, come on, why are the eyes so curved? Why is there a zipper on the mask? Why are there different colors on Miles's crotch? The only thing I actually like about this suit is the jacket, which looks great. I have no complaints, but the rest of the suit just looks so bad together. Style 2 changes the colors to black with red accents, similar to Miles's classic colors. Style 3 changes the suit to be similar to Peter's color, and Style 4 turns the suit bright pink and blue. Are you serious? We're still doing this? The Ginga suit was also added in the June update and created by Kid Super. Do I have to do this? Do I have to talk about this suit? Can I just be done? Can I get a good suit to talk about? Why are there so many colors and extra lines on it? Why are the eyes so exaggerated? I don't like this suit. This is probably my least favorite in the entire game. Style 2 resembles Miles's colors. Style 3 resembles Peter's colors, and Style 4 turns the suit white with gold highlights. The animated suit was added in the June update and originates from the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon show. With the Spider-Clan suit now returning for Spider-Man 2, this is the only suit with this cel-shaded design, and I think it looks great. I love how it contrasts with the realistic graphics of New York. It's an appealing and great suit. The Uptown Pride suit was the last suit added in the June update, and is original creation by Insomniac. While I'm glad this suit returns in Spider-Man 2 because of what it stands for, why wasn't this just a style for Miles's classic suit? Like, it wasn't in the base game, so why couldn't they have just been an alternate color for it? It would have worked. Style 2 changes the gold to a deep silver, which blends a little bit too much in with the black of the rest of the suit. Style 3 changes the suit to a bright red and gold to black, resembling Carnage's color scheme. And Style 4 turns the suit bright pink and blue. And that was all the suits in Marvel Spider-Man 2. Holy shit, that was a lot. I'll be honest when I say I was surprised at how many new suits I wasn't a fan of in this game. Of course, there are the black suit, the Amazing 2 suit, and the new Spider-Verse suits, but a majority of the suits that you get through activities I wasn't a fan of. While technically this is my favorite roster of suits in a Spider-Man game, considering so many I enjoy, a lot of those are returning suits, which compared to the overly designed written new additions isn't really saying that much. And that was all the content I feel like talking about from the base game of Marvel Spider-Man 2. However, unlike other games, this one actually has some interesting history with its post-launch content. Starting with the big New Game Plus update. When Spider-Man 2 released, it was apparent that the game was missing a lot of content, namely being able to change the time of day, mission replay, and most notably New Game Plus. Insomniac quickly reacted to this by confirming a New Game Plus update was in development. News was very quiet about it, however, until March 7th, when update 1.002, otherwise known as the New Game Plus update, came out. The biggest addition being New Game Plus, which allows you to play back through the story without having to purchase or unlock any skins, gadgets, or upgrades. There was also a new trophy for completing a playthrough on a New Game Plus save file. Unlike the other Spider-Man games, there are some exclusive New Game Plus unlocks, the most notable being the suit styles for the Black, Symbiote, and Anti-Venom suit. Along with that were golden gadget styles, which gave your gadgets a gold coloring to them, and suit text fusion, which lets you have all the suit tech upgrades activated instead of having to choose one of them. Some additional features added were mission replay, which lets you replay any mission in the game, change the time of day at any time, change the symbiote tendril color so that you weren't stuck with using the white anti-venom tendrils after the story, new additions to photo mode, and some new suits. This was a pretty sizable update that added a lot of necessary additions to Spider-Man 2, but that's the problem with it. The majority of the additions elements here should have been in the base game. All the new features added in this update were all in the base game in the previous Insomniac Spider-Man games, or would have been easy additions to add in. This, to me, just further shows how Insomniac was extremely rushed when making Spider-Man 2, since all of these additions took months to be added to the game. Something simple like changing the time of day is a very easy addition that makes no sense not to be in the base game other than rushed. And that brings me to my final topic, which was DLC. Of course, the New Game Plus update did kind of help with this, but fans were really hoping for some new content to be added to Spider-Man 2, just like the City That Never Sleeps DLC for the first game. But for a long time, it was very silent. Of course, in the leaks that happened shortly after the game came out, we did find out that DLC was planned for this game to have 3 different acts, one being about Carnage, the other being about Beetle, and the last one being about a Spider-Verse story. This made people so excited, and the fact that Insomniac was completely silent about pretty much everything just kind of further went to prove to people that DLC was coming for this game and that it was going to be huge. But then a year after Spider-Man 2 came out, Insomniac gave us the news that there was no DLC planned for the game. This made people furious, and understandably why. Now, before I talk about this, I just want to say that DLC is not really necessary. There have been multiple games released that have not gotten a DLC, but were still critical successes. DLC is not integral to a video game, nor do I necessarily want it to be in my video game. I would much rather have a full game on release than a game that is unfinished, messy, and complicated that it then gets fixed through paid DLC, which seems to be the new trend going on, as DLC or even just new free updates seem to be the way of adding in content to finish the game without having to take the extra time. So in all honesty, I'm fine with Spider-Man 2 not having DLC, as there's already so much content in the base game to crunch on. Problem with it though is the fact that Insomniac was silent for an entire year before announcing that there was no DLC for the game, even though it had already been leaked. If they had simply said at the time of the leak that the DLC was planned but it was canceled because of them, or they just said any other time the DLC wasn't planned, then it would have been fine. But the fact that they waited an entire year before letting us know this information was the main kicker here. We had an entire year to build up anticipation to the leaked DLC that was bound to come, considering they canceled the whole live service Spider-Man multiverse game that looked like a ton of fun. That was fine because people thought that DLC was going to come for Spider-Man 2, but then they announced that there was no DLC, and so people got mad because we waited an entire year for nothing. And now that's kind of left people in a state of shock where Spider-Man 2 doesn't really have that good of an identity anymore. I mean, it was one of the most anticipated and expensive video games ever made, and an entire year later, no one talks about it. Just let that sink in. A sequel to Marvel Spider-Man, one of the most anticipated games of all time, and the big heavy hitter of the PlayStation 5, the game that the PlayStation 5 is kind of known for now, no one talks about it. And that's simply because they just didn't have enough time to finish the game. There was so much content and DLC and all of these big promises that people saw from the leaks that all just went to nowhere, simply because the game took way too long to be made. Do you really think a game with a story that is around the same amount of time as its first game would have costed $315 million if it wasn't all for scrap content? I feel like this was one of the biggest projects ever in gaming, and Insomniac was definitely taking its time. They wanted to do so much, but they just didn't have the time for it, and because of that, Spider-Man 2 as a game and as its identity have suffered greatly. Now, don't get me wrong, Marvel Spider-Man 2 is still one of my favorite Spider-Man games ever released. The swinging is the best out of any of them. The side quests are full of depth and make you feel like a friendly neighborhood hero. This has the best suit selection. So much about this game I love, but there's also feels like so much missed potential. Spider-Man 2 was very clearly a victim of rushed development by CEO higher-ups trying to make an easy buck instead of letting a passionate team work their magic and try to create one of the best Spider-Man games ever made. But how does it rank compared to the other Marvel Spider-Man games? Miles Morales was just a spin-off game. It was only really meant to show off the power of the PS5 and help develop Miles as a character. So this is mainly just between Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2. After playing 2, going back to the first game's physics can feel slow and sluggish. The game doesn't have as smooth controls or fluid movement compared to the second, and I think the side quests are a lot more developed and engaging in the sequel. However, Spider-Man 1 has a much more consistent story, tone, and character characters and feel a lot more impactful with reigniting the Spider-Man formula for modern audiences. So which game would I pick? Despite having more fun with Spider-Man 2, I think I'm still gonna have to say that Marvel's Spider-Man is the better game. It's a much more consistent experience that takes more risk over Spider-Man's 2, which has much higher highs and further advancements with improved features from the first game, but also much lower lows, lower than any other Spider-Man Insomniac game. And that comes to the end of the video. Holy shit, that took a while. If you couldn't tell, this video took a long time to get done, and I hope you all thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much for the support on the last 2 videos. It means so much to me, and I hope you also enjoyed this one. I'm glad to be done with these Spider-Man games so I can finally talk about something else. Of course, you can also tell by the time that this video is coming out, it has been a long gap, and it is also very difficult to have the balance of social life, schooling, and also making videos. So I do appreciate you all for being patient for this. With all that being said, thank you so much for watching. Like the video, subscribe, and let me know what I should do next. And with all of that said, have a great day.